Broadcasting to you live from the Milky Way galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, west of the Atlantic, east of the Mississippi. My name's Brian Engelman, and this is TV's Blake Walley. And today is Thursday, July 11, 2024. This is the Agree to Disagree show here on the New American Media, because the old American media has failed you. Thank you so much for joining us today. Today's show is going to be discussing, all of the relevant stuff that's happening in our universe, such as the big boy press conference. Ooh, Biden has a big boy press conference. You did good job, Joe. You answered all the questions. So that got delayed. We're going to talk about that. Allegedly, that's later today. Ponder doing a live stream. We shall see. We're going to talk about that. Also, we're going to compare Agenda 47 with Project 25. You keep hearing Project 25, Project 25, kind of like in The Simpsons where they're going, monorail, monorail, monorail. Is there a chance the trucks could bend? Not on your life, my Hindu friend. What about us brain-dead slobs? You'll be given cushy jobs. Were you sent here by the devil? No, good sir, it's on the level. The ring came off my pudding can. Take my penknife, my good man. I swear it's Springfield's only choice. Throw up your hand.
Bro, I don't know.
Monorail. It was Phil Hartman. Monorail.
Nobody should be that encyclopedic with the Simpsons episodes.
Monorail. But yes, all the crowd starts chanting, monorail, monorail, monorail. They're having like a town hall meeting where they should spend their windfall of money. But that's what the media has been doing with what is it? Project 25, Project 25, Project 25. It's like, why are you guys obsessed with this thing? Why are you promoting it? So we'll get in and compare, in contrast, Project 25 to Agenda 47. What's the deal with Project 25? There's not 25 of them. I'm not 25. You're not 25. Anyway, okay, we're also going to ask, are Democrats willing to let Trump win just to pull the rug out from underneath him? God, that feels like the COVID. Anyway, we'll talk about that coincidence. Also, should there be consequences? And if so, how harsh should the consequences be for treason? Can we please stop calling it election fraud? Can we please stop calling it election interference? Can we just call it treason? Staging a coup to overthrow the will of the people in your country. That is treason. But we'll call it election fraud. We'll talk about that. Also, what should we do about the Democrats who voted against the SAVE Act? Yes, that's the SAVE Act. Of course, the treason word is attached to that one. I don't know, tar and feather. There's been a lot of those memes going around because why would you ever be against this? We'll break it down. Also, we have 2 states that are going bonkers. The usual suspect states, part of the 6 states that paused miraculously to flip hundreds of thousands of votes in 2020. Yes, let's talk about Wisconsin bringing back the ballot boxes. Jeez, Blake, you trying to get me into a rap battle here? Bringing back the ballot box. Give me a beat.
Beatbox Brian, right?
Beatbox Brian. Blake, give me a beat.
No.
These are bringing back ballot boxes.
That guy, right?
I did see a fun video, Blake. Are you a Rainn Wilson fan by chance?
A what?
Rainn Wilson.
I've heard the name. I don't remember who that is.
He's an actor. That's Dwight Schrute from The Office.
Oh, I know of it. I know you're talking about. I can see the pictures. I've seen the memes, but I didn't actually watch the show much. Just a few times.
Oh, it's great. I recommend if you could ever binge something.
Yeah. Nope, not gonna happen. There's so many. I have so many shows backlogged. Like The Office is gonna be low on that priority, even though I know it was a great show. I don't dispute it, but I don't have time for that. Right.
22 minutes of laughter to decompress and let some of the stress out. A good laugh is as good as like the best things on earth. So I recommend it highly. 22 minutes per episode, very bite-sized. While you're taking a poop, you could watch most of an episode.
While you're on the toilet. What a great idea, Brian. Thank you.
I mean, some people tend to consume some of their content there when they're expelling the other content. Okay, so we're going to talk about Wisconsin bringing back the ballot boxes so that they can cheat. But the reason I brought up Rainn Wilson, Blake, is because Harry Mack, I know you're a big fan of Harry Mack. We took you to see Harry Mack down in Nashville. We collaborated. He's a talented dude, right off the top of his head. He's one of the best MCs that the earth has ever witnessed. but he did a collaborative interview. Harry Mack has a podcast now, and he had Rainn Wilson on. Rainn Wilson was beatboxing for Harry Mack while he improvised right at the end of the episode. So you can check out and see how well that was. I'll give Rainn a 10 for like going for it. As far as like his actual skills, a 2.5. Kind of got a little weak at the end, maybe a 3. But I gave him a 10 for effort. So anyway, check that one out, Rainn Wilson and Harry Mack. But yes, bringing back the ballot boxes, that's Wisconsin. Let's talk about that other BS state, Michigan, or as I like to call it, what do I say? Well, I call the football team that team up there. We don't usually use the M word, or we'll put an asterisk under the M, and then it's Michigan.
Wolverines, baby.
No, OHIO, sir.
Okay.
But we're going to talk about the state of Michigan and Governor Whitmer. Yes, the cast of characters. It's the same rotating cast of clowns, but wait till you get a load of what she's doing and what she's trying to ban in her state. We'll break that down for you. Also, George, geez, what's George Snuffleupagus?
We're going to say Stephanopoulos.
Snuffleupagus.
Snuffleupagus. There you go.
That's a pretty fun one. I'd like to see some artwork where it's like Snuffleupagus, but it's got George's face there. The Clinton era hack that went after all of the ladies who were coming out against Bill because of his proclivities and his abusive behavior. Yeah, Stephanopoulos, he was the hatchet man, so he got rewarded by the deep state and he's been gainfully employed by the CIA. I'm sorry, NBC for like 30 years now. So if you play nice, look, this is what you get. You get a lifetime out in the pasture. Play wrong, yeah, we're going to indict you 50 trillion times and try to bankrupt you and embarrass you and what Lord knows what else. But we're going to talk about George Snuffleupagus. Should he apologize or be taken off of the air? We'll break it down, and hopefully I can remember to bring up the lady DJ who had the Biden interview questions handed to her. And we're going to kind of combine these stories and talk about who deserves what. And finally, we're getting so close, allegedly, to the Trump VP decision coming down the pike. We shall see.
Probably the next week, maybe. Yeah. We should know within a week, I think.
Well, it's been teased to us multiple times, right? Like, my VP is going to be out in the crowd. Got the best crowd. He or she is going to be there that night. And it's like, then nothing. And you're like, wah, wah. Like, totally. I bet you Trump's team was just like, dude, this went so wretched for Biden. Just hold off on the news. Do not clog the news cycle with a single item. Trump, shut your mouth. Shut your mouth. Shut your mouth. We'll talk about the VP later and use your zings for later. By the way, really nice one saying, I don't know what the hell he was saying. I don't think he knows what he was saying either. Great job. It's possible they had that on cue and they're like, no. Let the news cycle just marinate. Don't clog it up with new information. So anyway, we will talk about that and more on today's episode of the Agree to Disagree show.
Okay.
I like how Kenneth is saying NBCIA. Ooh, that's good. I've never even thought about that one. NBCIA. That's really nice. Hello, Tim. Hello,
everybody. How many journalists have been, taken in under the CIA wing?
Oh, geez. Hey, let's talk about Anderson Cooper, if we may. And I didn't see it in the stack, but I hope we're able to pull up some of those Telegram clips that I sent over. There were like 2 really good one-liners from Ben Shapiro, who's out there talking about in Congress right now about what the deep state was doing with big tech and the Democrat Party to silence people like us. Really, I mean, you can hate Ben for a million reasons, fine, but like today he was on fire and it was great and it needs to be amplified. So
there's a couple good, there's 2 good ones for him and then 1 bad one, but we don't even have to play the bad. It just depends on what direction we go in.
Oh, there was a bad one? I didn't see that one, but we will talk about all of the things. Okay, let's jump into the number 1 topic on today's program. How'd you like that? Double stinger time. That's a new rhythm for the show. I'll take that. New rhythm. Good times. All right. Let's talk about this. Blake, agree or disagree that Democrats have exposed Trump's secret agenda called Project 2025. Project 2025. Project 2025.
Right.
Project 2025.
No. They were trying so hard to keep that as a secret, and then I guess apparently they discovered it. It leaked, and now they've exposed it. And now they're going to destroy the Trump campaign and the entire army of MAGA nation, or what have you.
Democrats are so smart.
Yeah, always one step ahead of it. So,
I almost did a spit take with my drink. Like, that was really hard to get out without laughing. I tried to keep a straight face, and I did have a burst of laughter. So glad I did not take that sip. I could have retired my laptop, maybe put it out of its misery mercifully, but thankfully I avoided that. So, all right, Blake, walk us through Project 2025 and what's going on and who exposed what. Who's the hero from the Democrat Party that's going to save us from this monstrosity?
Right. Well, Brian, we've been talking about Project 25 for months now, or not. This has never been mentioned on the show. We didn't really know what it was. You think with all the circles and all the different, outlets that we look at and get news from, that this would be, an obvious thing. But apparently the Democrats found it and have blown it up into this huge issue. Like, oh my God. It's another, they're freaking out. And it was one of the clips you're talking about with Ben Shapiro and Eric Swalwell up on Capitol Hill. I mean, that's how bad it's gotten. And then there's an unhinged rant from one of our favorite pundits, wacky Joy Reid. Let's see if we can get this one up. As she's, the resident wacko Joy Reid goes on another unhinged rant against white people, men, and Christians.
Yeah.
So let's take a look at her warning everybody about the consequences of Project 25.
Let's not be trying to play games with these kinds of small things to try to pull us into a direction. All that matters in this election.
Let's not try to play games.
I genuinely mean this. All that matters in this election, the only thing that matters in this election is keeping Donald Trump and Project 2025 out of power. Keeping that insane ideology.
The insane ideology that's been paraded around for so long now, all this year. It's just, if Trump takes back the White House, they're going to implement this special project, and then it's lights out for America. Or not.
Of white Christian nationalism and white supremacy.
White Christian nationalism and white supremacy.
And white male Christian dominance out.
White Christian
power.
Male dominance.
That's all that matters. I genuinely don't care who the Democratic nominee is, and I'm being real. I don't care.
Oh, we know you're being real. She already said she would vote for Joe Biden in a coma before voting for Trump. Obviously she's not going to vote Trump no matter what.
If it's Biden, fine. If it's Kamala Harris,
vote blue no matter who.
Fabulous, right?
I mean, I don't know how much longer we want to continue with her craziness and her weird imaginings and projection, psychotic projection. But no, Project 2025. And then here's a post from Donald Trump on True Social. It says, I know nothing about Project 2025. I have no idea who is behind it. I disagree with some of the things they're saying, and some of the things they're saying are absolutely ridiculous and abysmal. I wish them luck, but I have nothing to do with them. And then we could just make the rounds. Comic Dave Smith saying, I wonder if people like Joy Reid understand the best thing about Donald Trump is that he drives people like her insane. And this video is, to me, the most compelling reason to support Trump. Of course, this has nothing to do with anything. So I don't know where they got. So apparently he's from the American Heritage Foundation. I think we lost Brian here. We'll get him back in. So that Heritage Foundation. Oh, there he is. There's Brian. He's on his way back in. Brian, there you go. Welcome back.
Thanks.
Sorry we lost you. How long were you gone for?
Well, no. Just for like 20 seconds. I was doing the show after you left. I had Adam Boyd on yesterday. He's been on a month ago. He's riding across all 13 colonies, doing 1,200 miles to raise the spirit of Americana prior to the election. And the delay, the glitch on Restream to switch the feeds, it was brutal. So I was wondering, because Kenneth is saying, hold on, I'm trying to get my comments on the screen here. And we did the overlay so we can see the comments, but he's like, my comments aren't going through. And so I said, maybe, why don't you try to refresh your feed? And then I'm like, well, why don't I just try to refresh my feed as well? So that's what I just did. You have any idea about that, Blake? How that works?
I'm not sure. It depends on where he's commenting from. I don't know.
He's on the New American Media YouTube, but that's where he's usually at.
Oh, yeah. Well, that should be something easy to pop up. So you're commenting on there. I don't know what's going on. We always have these kind of weird little issues, but I figured that'd be Rumble. The Rumble comments won't show up. But that's just, they haven't coordinated them all together yet. But anyway.
Well, to Kenneth, maybe for today, try watching on Blake's feed or something, or try the Twitter feed. I don't know if we can comment on the Twitter feed. The X feed, we're at American_media_Blake is at TV's Blake Walley. Make sure you're following both of us, please. That'd be greatly appreciated. But yeah, I don't know how much we want to handle, continue going on and on about Joy Reid, but I mean, the fixation on Project 25 is pretty ridiculous because this is not a Trump plan. Trump has Agenda 47, which I have pulled up, and Blake, as soon as you're ready, I just like to run through the bullet points real quick so we can understand what the Trump agenda actually is and why you're probably a lunatic if you're ever going to take the advice of Joy Reid or as information or factually correct. Why would you go through a middleman when you could just go to Trump's website and click on Agenda 47? You want to know what he wants to do? It's on Agenda 47 on the Trump website. It's called Agenda 47. There is no Project 25. Project 25 is something the Democrat mouthpieces are really pushing out there. They're like the Patriot Front of ideas. It's like, here's a thing that feels completely inorganic, and it has nothing to do with the president, but guess what? Let's try to connect it to the president. I'm not a fan of that crap, but that's what it feels like. It feels totally astroturfed. Regardless of who the people are that put Project 25 together, that's fine. They can do whatever they want. What is it? Heritage Foundation?
It's the Heritage, yeah, because this got been brought up the other day, and I wasn't sure. It almost, it's not like super offensive. It's just, like it is kind of like white Christian nationalist, and it's like the, what Democrats are very fearful of like worst case scenario of like extreme, right wing, old classic GOP conservatives if they got in, and maybe that's their agenda. And I didn't know if it was from, Richard Spencer, or if it was Nick Fuentes, or if it was John Birch Society. So apparently it's the Heritage Foundation. And it's for the sole purpose. But of course, the Democrats continue to attach Trump to it. Purpose of distracting people from his actual platform that is great for our country and all Americans. And then another quick one, let's see, is from Laura Loomer. Oh yeah, we already covered that tweet in that article, but it's the same thing. Trump is not promoting that. That had nothing to do with it. And then Brian, I think you also have it. So I do have the, Stephen Miller talking about this because Hakeem Jeffries, minority leader in Congress, saying, oh yeah, Donald Trump and Project 2025 are connected at the hip. Stop lying to the American people. But that's BS. I never heard of this thing until a Democrat started freaking out about it. And then they're misappropriating this and connecting it to Trump, which is not accurate. Never was. And they even were talking in Congress. Yes, with, Ben Shapiro and Eric Swalwell. That was bizarre. But even, Project 2025 has come out about myths and facts about Project 2025. But go ahead, Brian, if you want to play. And yes, there is a great agenda for 47 that lays out what they want to do. It's going to be at the RNC next week in Milwaukee. So, Brian, you want to cover that?
Yeah. And by the way, once again, go to donaldjtrump.com/agenda47, agenda 47. I could play these because they're only like 60 seconds long, but I'll just read you the headlines. They really are pretty short. They're like only a couple minutes long.
So it's going to be the platform, right? The official platform now from the actual president.
Yes. So Agenda 47, here's bullet point 1. He wants to make America energy independent again. Biden's war on energy is the key driver of the worst inflation in 58 years. When I'm back in office, we'll eliminate every Democrat regulation that hampers domestic energy production. Bam. Okay, that sounds great. Next one, Agenda 47. President Trump announces plan to end crime and restore law and order. Holy crap. Do you live anywhere where bad things have happened? Wouldn't it be great if the bad people were punished and locked up if they wouldn't behave after being warned a couple of times? Yeah, that's how America's supposed to be. President Donald J. Trump unveiled his new plan to stop out-of-control crime and keep all Americans safe. All Americans safe. That sounds great. In his first term, President Trump reduced violent crime and stood strongly with America's law enforcement. On Joe Biden's watch, violent crime has skyrocketed and communities have become less safe as he has defunded, defamed, and dismantled police forces. Okay, Blake, does that sound okay to you?
Sounds okay with me.
Next one, President Trump announces plan to stop the America Last warmongers and globalists. President Donald J. Trump announced his plan to defeat the America Last warmongers and globalists in the deep state, the Pentagon, the State Department, and the National Security Industrial Complex. How's that sound?
Yeah, I'd rather focus on America or the border and not, giving money to you blank checks to Ukraine or for other wars in the Middle East.
President Trump continues to lead on protecting Americans from radical leftist ESG investments. President Donald J. Trump released a new Agenda 47 policy video vowing to once again ban insidious environmental social governance investments in order to protect Americans' hard-earned savings and investments from woke financial scams. President Trump's bold actions set the example for Republicans across the country to follow his lead in fighting ESG. How's that sound?
Seems reasonable enough to me.
I think so too. President Trump's new trade plan to protect American workers, Agenda 47. The trade policy plan will protect American workers with universal baseline tariffs, revoking China's most favored nation status, and ending U.S. reliance on China. Wow, wouldn't that be great? Remember all the supply line problems we had during COVID, and too many items were being manufactured in China, including pharmaceuticals? Yeah, you want to be independent. You do not want to keep your vital infrastructure and your vital medical resources. You don't want to be dependent on anybody else but yourself. Let's see. This is reclaiming America's independence by slashing trade deficits. Okay, trade deficits sound good. Reducing those sound good. Agenda 47, reversing Biden's EO embedding Marxism in the federal government. That's the executive order. Trump has pledged to eradicate any attempt to weaken America's institutions through harmful and discriminatory equity programs. Blake, I mean, these discrimination plans pushed by the government, it really has seen a turning of the tide in the last few years, but it really has been this diversity, equity, inclusion, this Marxism, this racism, and discrimination against Christians, against men, against white men, against straight people, against... It's like everything has to be split and say, no, certain groups of people should be prioritized and other people may not be hired and may not be advanced to positions of power in these companies. And this is pure insanity. It goes against everything in the Bill of Rights. This is something that sounds like you could get behind too?
Yeah, I mean, the beauty of this whole thing is that it was all designed to get as many people on board with the agenda as possible. And so the Democrats couldn't have that. So they had to make up this farce that it's not Agenda 40. They're not even talking about it that. It's all about this Project 2025, which came from somewhere else, from a much more, a conservative coalition of people that not everybody's on the same page with. They're not representing the GOP at the RNC, or maybe they're going to be there. People are, could put out whatever they want, whatever they think the agenda should be, or a plan for America, but that's not what President Trump has endorsed.
Exactly. I like this one. Agenda 47, a new quantum leap to revolutionize the American standard of living. My God, wouldn't it be great if our dollar bills actually bought things these days? It feels like prices have gone up triple on almost anything relevant. But he says here, it's time to start talking about greatness for our country again. And that's just a mindset. That's, in some ways, the president is irrelevant. They're kind of just a cheerleader, a spokesperson, if you will, But man, when's the last time you heard anybody talking about America being great or the potential to be great? It's just been a bunch of bad stuff happened before I was alive, and I'm so angry about it. And I hate people today who participated in none of that because I'm a bigot. It's like, okay, you're weird and you've been brainwashed by crazy Marxists in your school system. I apologize that you've been abused that way, but come back over here. Let's talk about American greatness next year. Let's talk about things that we can do to make this country awesome, make this country great again. Agenda 47, preventing World War III. Wow, now there's a stark contrast to the Biden Democrat agenda. Kenneth saying, dollar no longer, make her holler. Yeah, you need at least a couple of dollars. Agenda 47, preventing World War III. President Trump explains the difference between the globalist establishment class and those who are truly committed to stopping the Ukraine war and dismantling the entire neocon nation-building industrial complex in Washington, D.C. How novel is that, Blake?
Exactly.
Agenda 47, Joe Biden has been a disaster for the economy. Trump highlighted the importance of not bailing out banks that have collapsed under Joe Biden's disastrous economy of higher inflation and soaring interest rates. Yeah, a bunch of banks did collapse, and then that story went away. I wonder if it's ever been resolved or if that was just the first of many cracks we're going to see on the side of the foundation before the big one comes. Agenda 47, ending Biden's war on the suburbs that pushes the American dream further from reach. Trump announced a plan to end Joe Biden's war on the American suburbs in a new Agenda 47 video. Biden's proposed rule that every state, county, and city submit equity plans to the federal government will push the American dream out of reach for countless American families. Yeah, no. Agenda 47, President Trump's plan to dismantle the deep state and return power to the American people. Holy crap. Deep state rogue bureaucrats and career politicians and government corruption. End it. Text Trump to 88022. Agenda 47, firing the radical Marxist prosecutors that are destroying America. If we cannot restore the fair and impartial rule of law, we will not be a free country. Blake, is that something you think the president could get a little bit of headway on by firing the radical Marxist prosecutors that are destroying this country?
Yeah, absolutely. It's just been ridiculous lawfare tactics trying to take down their political opposition. And it's pretty transparent and obvious, and that should be dealt with.
Agenda 47, liberating America from Biden's regulatory onslaught. No longer will unelected members of the Washington swamp be allowed to act as the fourth branch of our republic. Blake, and there was just, I believe that was the Chevron case by the Supreme Court that just got, that they just ruled on, essentially saying that unelected bureaucrats in these regulatory committees are no longer going to essentially be able to interpret the laws that Congress has written. Things have gotten really out of hand over the past couple decades. And I mean, how big of an impact do you think that this would have if unelected members of the swamp couldn't act as a fourth branch of our republic, kind of playing judge, jury, and executioner for all of these statutes across the country when they really have no ability to be doing so, especially after Chevron? How big of a deal do you think that is?
Well, I mean, I get to take all of the money out of politics and get rid of all these lobbyists that are infiltrated and corrupting members of Congress. That would be a good thing. And it's also, these prosecutors are being bankrolled by George Soros. He's also putting in, to do things that in his own way, in this kind of radical agenda, not necessarily pro-American by any means. He's also putting in radical sheriffs, like they did in Maricopa County. So, yeah, It's bad news all around.
Right. Speaking of bad news,
do we have, Brian?
What?
I said, how many more do we have on these?
Tearing through them. Agenda 47, ending the nightmare of the homeless, the drug addicts, and the dangerously deranged. For a small fraction of what we spend on Ukraine, we could take care of every homeless veteran in America. Our veterans are being treated horribly. Agenda 47. Oh, maybe this is the last one. Agenda 47, protecting students from the radical left and Marxist maniacs infecting educational institutions. Yes, amen on this one. If our schools have been the toxicity that's causing the brain damage in the kids, this has got to be at the top of the list. You must take the crazy out of the schools and then you're going to have a normal society again. For many years, tuition costs at colleges and universities have been exploding, and I mean absolutely exploding, while academics have been obsessed with indoctrinating America's youth. The time has come to reclaim our once great educational institutions from the radical left, and we will do that. Blake, does that sound good to you? Fixing the schools? Do you see that as big a deal as I do?
Well, I mean, I'm all in favor of having some kind of a balance. So if they are going to put stuff like that out there, then they should have a counterpoint. They should have a well-balanced. People should have that kind of ability to have that education rather than indoctrination where they're just showing that one side. So,
gotcha.
That would be my take on that one.
That's Agenda 40. That's Agenda 47, and that's a play on Agenda 2020, Agenda 2030. But yeah, 47 being the 47th president and the 45th. I like it. I think it was brilliant, and I think more people need to just stop listening to what Joy Behar has to say about. Wait, Joy Reid.
Joy Reid.
Anybody named Joy, I'm done with your opinion. Don't listen to other people's opinions about it. Go to his website and read his words. He didn't write a Project 25, so stop talking about it. Stop believing it. Stop sharing it. And stop being a fool. Don't be an idiot for the deep state. Snap out of it.
Well, yeah, they might not know us. That's the kind of the idea, is to keep people from actually seeing what the real platform is. And you got Stephen Miller pointing this out. Here it is. It was formally adopted at the GOP convention, a winning populist agenda. The same people who lied to your face about Biden's mental incompetence, who led the greatest cover-up in U.S. history, are now trying to hoax you about Project 2025. Send the hoaxers home. And he is directly calling out the most powerful Democrat in Congress right now, or at least on the lower house there, the House of Representatives, Hakeem Jeffries, who is lying to the American people and gaslighting. So let's just, pull up that. It's about sealing the borders, stopping the migrant invasion, carrying out the largest deportation operation in American history, ending inflation, make America dominant energy producers, stop outsourcing, large tax cuts for workers, defending the Constitution, Bill of Rights, fundamental freedoms, preventing World War III, ending the weaponization of government against the people, stopping the migrant crime epidemic, and demolishing the foreign drug cartels, rebuilding our cities to make them safe. All the blue cities have been destroyed. Strengthen and modernize the military, keep U.S. dollar as world's reserve currency, fight to protect Social Security. They keep saying he's trying to get rid of it. That's not true. And keeping Medicare with no cuts and no changes to the retirement age. Cancel electric vehicle mandate. Cut federal funding for any school pushing the critical race theory, radical gender ideology. Keep from our children. Keep men out of women's sports. Deporting pro-Hamas radicals at the college campuses. Securing elections, same-day voting, voter identification, paper ballots, proof of citizenship, and unite our country by bringing it to new and record levels of success. So that is 20 points. They're pretty awesome. I think most people could all agree on it, which is why the Democrats don't want to talk about this, because people are going to hear this and they're going to go, oh, well, actually seems to make sense. So instead, they found this more radicalized, old school version of this, Heritage Foundation Project 2025, and they're trying to confuse their audience by making it look like that's the agenda. It's not. So they are perpetuating yet again another hoax on the American public. So
that's all they do is run hoaxes, Blake. I've never lived through anything like this. I've never seen anything like this. We've all known politicians to, they omit inconvenient truths. We know that's a legal strategy, and really, lawyers and politicians are one chromosome away from being the same. They have said that Ritalin and drugs like that, they're really one chemical component away from methamphetamines. But yeah, lawyers and politicians are essentially the same. Wordsmiths, very careful with what they choose to omit and what they choose to highlight. But we've never seen, Blake, just a rapid and relentless onslaught of gaslighting and straight up lies. It's one thing to lie. It's another to gaslight when everyone sees what you can see around you and they still keep lying. They're busted. They got their pants down, They're right there. You swing the bedroom door open, pants are down, cameras in the corners of each room, quietly collecting that footage. There she is, right there on the bed. There he is. And the answer is, it wasn't me. He pulls out a Shaggy. It wasn't me in the shower. Still wasn't me. Pelosi trading stock tips. It wasn't her. And Obama in the bathhouse. It wasn't him. Biden super competent, sharp like a tack. It wasn't him. It's just like lie after lie after lie after lie with these people. Is it breathtaking, Blake? Is it breathtaking? What we've seen.
Oh, yeah. It's audacious and bold. Yeah. For them to try to get away with all of these lies. At least they're getting exposed now. And so they just keep double downing. I guess that's their only maneuver, is to try to, hoax the American people and keep going. But yeah, now they're busted in this latest one of pretending that, Joe Biden was fine.
Yeah. They've lied about Biden's competency for at least 5 years. At least.
Yeah, we've been talking about it for 4 years easily.
He didn't campaign in 2020. Right. Nobody has ever liked him. Nobody has ever respected him. Nobody's ever trusted him. And he has the endurance of an infant. He didn't campaign in 2020 because he wasn't up to it. It was like a double-sided reason there. You flip a coin, you go, okay, ding, lands on heads. Well, here's the problem, sir. Nobody likes you. We're going to have a hard time filling 11 circles socially distanced apart. Trump's filling 80,000, 60,000, 50,000, 40,000 seat arenas. And then you flip the other side of the coin to ding, 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 ding. Oh, okay, tails. Well, here's the other reason. My man can't stay awake and he can't keep his thoughts strung together. So we can't have him campaign. 81 million votes. You've got to be out of your mind if you think we believe that. 81 million totally legitimate votes for the guy that's been brain dead for the better half of a decade. So yes, Blake, they've been lying about everything. And at least a couple weeks ago, everyone got to see the lie in full force. The question is that now the skeleton key, pun intended for that crooked bag of bones Biden? And I'm not going to be kind to the guy. I refuse to be kind. Oh, he's a kindly old grandpa. No. He's a daughter showering, money laundering, World War III provoking, coup perpetrating piece of junk. So yeah, he's bag of bones Biden. I'm trying to keep it civil here. But Blake, he hasn't been right for a long time. But will the skeleton key of watching, oh my God, they've lied to us about Biden, this guy is a train wreck. What else were they lying to us about? What else were they lying to me about? If you had to guess, just the Democrats, the people that voted for Biden or Obama, just that group, so that omits me, what percentage of those people might have had an aha moment? Holy crap, they're lying about this. I bet they're lying about all these big things. What percentage would you think, or what percentage would you hope, two different questions, might have kind of gone down a rabbit hole of seeking out different information now? Because the emperor wears no clothing. We see it now.
I mean, I guess maybe I could throw out a couple of numbers and just say 10%. 10% maybe that we're going to vote for Trump next time, and maybe 10% that are going to just not have any enthusiasm, not going to show up to vote. So if that's a 20% swing, that could be a difference maker. But I mean, I have no idea. But there's got to be people that have finally realized, oh yeah, we've been lied to about so many different things. Whether it was that Trump was a Russian asset, or the Hunter Biden laptop, or the lab leak came, the Wuhan lab leak, or all the different COVID shenanigans. At some point, I think people have realized they've been duped so many times. There's tons of people that are going to be like, Joy Reid, they're just going to vote blue no matter who. But yeah, I mean, and the other thing is trying not to give them any ammunition around last time, because with some of this Project 2025 stuff, like if you get these Lindsey Grahams and these overly conservative, radical Republicans that are going to say, "Oh yeah, we want to add it to the platform that they're 0% no abortions," stuff like that. That's going to reinvigorate the left, and they're going to go out and vote in droves. But as long as you don't give them that ammunition, I mean, how can they turn away that agenda? So, and a lot of those people live in those big blue cities have seen them get overwhelmed with all of these illegal migrants that are, getting prioritized over the people that are, hurting in that district. So, yeah, I mean, if there's a free and fair election with transparency, I think Trump wins in a landslide. And yeah, Democrats are in trouble big time, but they did it to themselves.
Yeah.
And they perpetuated this hoax, and they put everything on Biden again to run again in this year. And he's really faltering badly, and everybody seems to be turning against him. And there's tons of infighting, and I love it.
Oh, I'm here for it. I'm so happy that the chickens have come home to roost, as Ron Paul would say about 9/11 and the fact that the United States is messing around in other countries and finding out eventually. Occasionally, the chickens come home to roost. Of course, that's a very complicated story with a lot of speculation all these decades later, even. But yeah, you talk about the big blue cities. When I went to the Bronx about a month ago, I assure you, I was out there interviewing people in the Bronx, and they're saying, I'm irate that I can go to the bodega and I can't. My money doesn't buy me anything anymore. I'm spending 2 or 3 times what I'm getting one bag, and I'm giving them way more money than I ever have. This is insane. This has to stop. This inflation is out of control. They're screaming and saying, I can't believe you're taking away resources from U.S. citizens to invite all these illegal aliens without vetting them for criminal record, without vetting them for all sorts of communicable diseases that you do not want spreading in your communities. They don't care about that. We have our own homeless and our own struggling people. Help us. What are you importing people to replace us for? And by the way, these are Dominican and black people. There's like 86% of the Bronx is Dominican and black. So that great replacement theory that some people pretend isn't happening. Oh, it's happening. It's happening. And Biden himself was talking about, and that's not a bad thing. And that's not a bad thing. Okay, you're a weirdo. So there was that. And then the people in the Bronx were irate about the crime. We don't feel safe anymore. My friend got hit in the head with a lead pipe. She's elderly. She was on the subway. Crazy guy attacked her. And it's like people in the blue cities have had enough. But, once again, I mentioned this on Tuesday's show. I bet if we were able to make a emergency SCOTUS ruling on how we're going to conduct our ballots nationwide, banning drop boxes and banning voting machines, say we're doing it in paper, we're doing it one day. That's it. Here's a specific process. If you're an invalid and you can double, triple verify, signature verification, here's the way you can do it. Otherwise, there are no drop boxes. There are no mail-ins. Yes, you do that with the troops. You've always done that with the troops. I hate these arguments when you go, you talk about abortion. They go, what if they're raped? What if it's incest? And you go, well, incest is rape. Why you delineate it? That's the same thing. That's a rape and a rape. Well, what if the mom's life is in jeopardy? Yeah, of course, that. Now, set all those aside. Do you have anything to argue about? What if I'm reckless and just don't take care of things and I have to do the thing? Okay, well, that's a very different story. But it's all about how you frame it. And yeah, Blake, I think you're right to say if you don't add any more oxygen, any more fuel to that abortion fire, it's like the best thing Trump could ever say on abortion is goes, look, I have nothing to do with it now. And I should have never had anything to do with it. This isn't a federal level issue. This is about you and your state. It's local to you, and you get to vote on the people that make those policy decisions. It's a local choice, and I, Donald Trump, have nothing to do with it, which you would probably enjoy and appreciate, and you're probably thrilled that I have nothing to do with abortion, right? Just end it with that. Don't get into rambling and don't start defending yourself. Just start and stop with, this is close to you. It's a state-to-state issue, like most of these legal scholars said it should have always been. That's it. Don't give them any fuel for that fire. Of course, Kenneth, chiming in on the Shaggy reference, he said, yellow in the pool. It wasn't me. And I said, I even did it in China. It wasn't Xi. It wasn't Xi. That's Xi.
Nice.
So, yes. Okay. Anyway, that's Project 2025 versus Agenda 47. I prefer Agenda 47. Get it right from the horse's mouth. No, not Joy Reid. Get it from Trump's website. Joy Reid does have she's got a little I don't know.
Yeah, she's not looking good these days, and she's really bad.
She's dropped some of her Trump cultural appropriation with that wig. She had the Trump wig for several months.
Right.
At least she's
dropped. People called her out on it, so then she just got rid of it and shaved her head. I don't know. She's not. She has not aged well.
But imagine Blake having to lie like this. These people, and I'm seeing various versions of this. I listen to all sorts of different shows, but some of these questions are like, are they crazy? Are they stupid? Or are they lying? Let's just break down the cat. Are they crazy, stupid, or lying? Because you have to be one of them.
Yeah, she's not stupid. She's crazy and she's lying. And I think she just likes to stir shit up. You know, some people are like that. But she's been wrong on all the issues, and she keeps thinking, I don't know, if she just keeps talking long enough, people are going to come to her side, but it's just repelling more people.
Yeah.
And it's just making her look even worse, and she's completely exposed. And frankly, I have no idea why they're continuing to employ her. They're just not a serious news organization anymore.
Right. Yeah, they never have been. It's been
well,
so
MSNBC
CIA
did some good work in the Bush regime, and then that's been all downhill since.
By the way, question of the day for everybody watching out there on the various platforms. Thank you so much. Please make sure you subscribe to the Agree to Disagree show and the New American Media. By the way, check out Blake. He's at TV's Blake Walley on X, and you can find his archives at The Next Level News. Blake found a cat yesterday. So the question of the day is, assuming this cat is a boy, and preliminarily we believe it to be a boy, although it's not like we can assume the cat's gender, Blake. Am I right? Am I
exactly. Right?
Am I right?
Right. I want to assume, Brian, you can get in trouble for that. See if I can get him on screen here. Nope, I can't.
Yeah, okay. Blake has an invisible cat.
I do. Yep. Did everybody see it? All right. No,
he's not see it. You got to turn your green screen off.
I guess so.
It's a good looking gato. Believes to be a boy. So here's the question of the day: if Blake decides, if he takes it to the vet and they scan for chips, they'll do that for free. They will scan to see if that cat is registered to. Oh my gosh, that cat is so comfortable. Holy crap, Blake! They say that your pets choose you.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, did this guy choose you? Wow, is he comfortable?
Yeah.
So here's a question. This cat has yet to be named. So please, in the comments section, suggest some liberty-minded names for this cat. We'll accept both male and female names, but we're currently under the impression that it's likely potentially a boy. So liberty-themed names, type it in the comments. Yeah. Blake, do you have any idea?
I don't know. I'm thinking like assuming it doesn't belong to somebody around us. I just don't know. It is not tagged or anything. But assuming nobody claims him, because maybe he escaped during July 4th, got spooked by fireworks, escaped his home. Assuming I don't find him a home, yes, I will. Name him something. I was thinking something like a Greek or Roman, but we could go forefathers, back in the day. I'm down.
So I mean, you could work in the fall of the Roman Empire. You could.
Right.
So, okay, we got that. I mean, you could go Paul with Dr. Ron Paul. Probably somebody.
Liberty. There you go.
This is my cat, Paul.
Liberty.
Oh, hi, Paul.
Right. Here he is. Oh, he moved.
What are you thinking, like Maximus or Cadius or something?
Yeah, we'll see.
So type some comments in. We want to see some names for Kenneth suggested a name for your cat. How about Jane says Liberty?
Yeah.
And then Kenneth suggested Bibberty. So you got Liberty, Bibberty. Liberty, 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 Liberty. Man, this little T. Well, like little testosterone? Or like little T, like little Trump? Little T, little Trump. Okay. Ooh, Dr. Paul. That'd be funny to call your cat Dr. Paul. Dr. Paul, I presume. Meow.
All right. We'll work on that.
It'd be so silly. Anyway, but that's the question of the day. Please, as you think of new cool names for cats for Blake, just keep typing them in. Keep them coming. Okay, Blake, do we have anything else about Agenda 2025, or do we want to go into Trump winning, then pulling the rug out?
Yeah, the only thing I have is really the Ben Shapiro showdown with Eric Swalwell.
I loved it. I thought it was great.
5 minutes. I mean, there's two great moments for Ben Shapiro. As much as I consider him kind of a nemesis, but he does do some very good work. There are
He
times
sure
where I do
does.
agree with him. And yes, the opening monologue calling out, I guess it was Jerry Nadler, and then destroying Eric Swalwell was pretty glorious stuff. So good job, Benny boy.
Do you have any of that to play? Because I thought it was excellent. And it really speaks to what they've done to really derail the careers of people like Blake and I running independent media. That adpocalypse, I believe, right around 2017 that Shapiro was referencing in that opening monologue. I mean, that instantly just cut the legs out from underneath the monetization on the YouTube channel. It really ruined a lot of stuff. And then the censorship on all the meta platforms. I think this story is beyond important. I think it's perhaps the one of the biggest things we can do to course correct this nation. What the Democrat deep state has been able to do, along with the Cheneys, the Rumsfelds, the Romneys, the McCains, the old guard Republican losers. It's really been a travesty. The Kinzingers. What they've done to really push for censorship and silencing people, whether it's medical information, whether it's political information, investment information, health information. How about F you, F you, F you, F you. I'm a sovereign individual. I'm an adult, and you can get out of my business now. Well, that's a private company. They have every right. Bullshit. The White House has no business forcing these companies, leaning on these companies. Hey, I got an offer you can't refuse. Hey, Zuckerberg, you're going to cut all these people we give you on the list. You're going to wake up with a horse's head, you see? You'll swim with the fishes, you see? Chucky Schumer. Yeah, I see the intelligence agency. They got 5 ways from Sunday. Like, holy shit, they're all saying that the government has hijacked everything and they're coming after the good people. Wow. And that's where we wake up in 2024. This has to stop. You're either a platform or a publisher. You cannot have the protections of the platform and claim to be what you cannot have the protections of a publisher and claim to only be a platform. You don't get to double dip like Pelosi on a stock tip or Pelosi's husband after hours. Am I right? Anyway. All right. What do you got pulled up there for us?
Well, that's the exact clip you sent me from Instagram with Ben Shapiro. I didn't see that anywhere else.
Oh, so, wow. Wait, you mean your curated algorithm didn't feed you any Ben Shapiro? I
know I got Ben Shapiro with Swalwell. I don't have his opening remarks, or at least I didn't see it on the places that I checked. But
okay.
I should have found it on Twitter, but Instagram's not as friendly to play. But we can certainly run some of this. So calling out high-ranking Democrats, because all right, here we go.
Members of the committee, good morning. First of all, Ranking Member Nadler, I appreciate the kind words about our business. It's very kind of you. And also, I assume that we'd be doing a lot better without the institutional obstacles that I'm about to discuss. We're in the midst of a trust crisis in the world of media, which is because so many in the legacy media have lied in order to preserve left-leaning narratives. To take just the most recent example, we were told by the legacy media that President Biden was just fine. For years, anyone who questioned his health and mental fitness was trafficking in cheap fakes. And then President Biden went out and engaged in a full-scale mental collapse on stage in front of hundreds of millions of people. So we can see why Americans, at least Americans who are not Democrats, do not trust the media. The question isn't really why the legacy media have lost Americans' trust. We know that answer. The question is why, despite that loss of trust, the legacy media continue to gain share in the advertising market. And the answer is simple. There is, in fact, an informal pressure system created by Democratic legislators, this White House, legacy media, advertisers, and pseudo-objective brand safety organizations. That system guarantees that advertising dollars flow only to left-wing media brands. Let me explain how this works. When a conservative competitor to the legacy media arises, members of that legacy media and their political allies rush to paint such competitors as dangerous. The commentator Kara Swisher of the New York Times, for example, told the head of YouTube that my videos at Daily Wire were a, quote, gateway drug that would lead children, including her own teenage son, to watch neo-Nazi content. Never mind the yarmulke. Elected Democrats pick up that same messaging. In 2017, Senator Dianne Feinstein told lawyers at Facebook, Google, and Twitter, quote, you created these platforms and now they're being misused, and you have to be the ones to do something about it, or we will. Social media companies react to incentive structures, including threats. They've responded by adopting the standards of third-party left-wing informational safety groups like the Global Alliance for Responsible Media, or GARM. GARM purportedly sets brand safety standards, objective standards by which advertisers and platforms can supposedly determine just what sort of content ought to be deemed safe for advertising. In reality, GARM acts as a cartel. Its members account for 90% of ad spending in the United States, almost $1 trillion. In other words, if you're not getting ad dollars from GARM members, it's nearly impossible to run an ad-based business. And if you're not following their preferred political narratives, the ones that Kara Swisher and Dianne Feinstein would follow, you will not be deemed brand safe. Your business will be throttled. We at Daily Wire have experienced this firsthand. In 2017, after Senator Feinstein made her threats to bring the weight of government down on social media platforms, Daily Wire YouTube channel saw a 1,000% increase in content enforcements over a 2-year period.
Pause it there.
1,000%.
We just got another video removed from October. They said something harmful. It's like, get out of here. These are adults talking. Go into your cave. I don't know what trolls are going through this. We've had probably 6 or 7, maybe 8 different videos taken down from over the past couple of years. They're going back. They are sifting for anything they can do to harm you. And this is how it started. They started just video by video by video, flag after warning, after strike, after this. It's like nothing that is occurring is rising to the level of punishment. None of it is. But they're doing it anyway because nobody's stopping them. And they're getting more aggressive because nobody's stopping them. So I'm really happy that there's some people addressing this. It's if we cannot have a free and open conversation in America, we don't have an America. We just don't. Anyway, you can continue.
No, I agree. It's definitely been rigged one way. Let's all right, we'll continue.
Since 2021, after Democrat officials further turned up the heat on social media companies, my personal Facebook page has seen an over 80% drop in impressions. Or take Joe Rogan, when Joe said that.
Blake, what happened to your Facebook impressions? By the way, we broadcast on TNAM's The Agree to Disagree show and TNAM's Fake News Debunking Conspiracy Theories Hub. We get 0 viewers every time we reach, like 0.
Yeah.
We get so few when you hover over the eyes button to see how many people are coming in. It doesn't even show up that we're broadcasting to these groups because they've blocked the function, so we cannot share to these groups. Meta is such trash. How has Meta impacted you, Blake, with your following?
I mean, I don't use the Instagram much anymore, but I hate Facebook. I stay away from it, even though I do have, there's pretty good people on there that are active, and I get a lot more engagement there than I do anywhere else. But I still, we haven't, those videos, all the things we put out there, they don't seem to really show up. I don't really know how many views they're getting at all. I was punished recently. I guess the punishment is off now because I had some tag on there that I was temporarily suspended for going too fast, whatever that meant. So they just do kinds of dirty tricks. And then I had appealed like 3 or 4 times, and nobody ever responds back. Nobody ever says, "Oh, sorry, Mr. Walley, that was an accident. You're good." Nothing. No, they never say anything. It's crazy.
Yeah, so, during the 2020 election, they deleted the New American Media Facebook page for no reason, no defined reason, no opportunity to remedy any alleged issue, no appeal process. We had to finally start a new one. My personal account was disabled. I mean, I run 40 groups over there. And, because as I scroll through the feed, it's like, oh, here's something for food and beverage, TNAM food and drink. Oh, here's something funny, TNAM humor. Oh, here's a news story, TNAM's The Agree to Disagree show. Oh, here's sports. How about the Unhappy Hour sports show? Okay, so like as I scroll, I'm just filtering. It's like, how do you run so many groups? You go, I don't know. I scroll for 10 minutes. I find interesting things, not everything, and I just filter them. Blue with blue, purple with purple, red with red, orange with orange, yellow with yellow, and I just kind of put them where they go. And nobody, I've been cultivating that platform for 13 years or something. I mean, the amount of interaction and what people actually see is like 0. You look at the feed and how many people were able to see your stuff, and it's like they might as well just disable it because I'm hardly communicating over there. Despite all my best efforts. Jane Meyer adds a couple of ideas for cat names. How about America or Abe? Blake, do this like we're in Gladiator. All right. Great. So I want a thumbs up or a thumbs down. America.
It's cool, but I want to say no on that one.
Abe.
Nah, not quite. It's all right.
Lincoln.
Lincoln's okay. It's a maybe.
Okay. Reagan.
I like it. I mean, almost like Ronnie better, but I wasn't.
Ronnie. Okay.
Yeah, but no, probably not Reagan.
What about Donald?
No, not quite where I'm going for, but I like the suggestions.
What about
I'm
Barron?
very picky. What's that?
Barron.
Barron's kind of cool, but I don't know if I
Barron
feel
is
weird
kinda
naming
cool.
him after like an 18-year-old kid, but I do like the name.
All right. What about Trumpy?
Probably not. And then it's going to be divisive. So then if I name him anything like that, then not that I'm going to take him to the dog park because he's not a dog. So people aren't going to be like, oh, what's your cat's name? I'm going to be like, something divisive, Trumpy or Reagan or something like that. And that might.
My cat's named Liberal Tears. My cat's name is Liberal Tears.
There you go.
Okay. What about Hamilton?
Like the name, but it's too many syllables. And George isn't terrible, but yeah, I think if it was an older cat or something, maybe I could name it George. But I'm gonna say no. I like the name Bernie, but I don't think I was did I used to like Bernie? I don't know if I would. I was never a Bernie Sanders guy.
No, I think it's for Bernie Kosar, who was just diagnosed, unfortunately, with Parkinson's and cirrhosis of the liver. So prayers to Browns quarterback legend and Super Bowl champion with the Dallas Cowboys, Bernie Kosar. Okay,
but
so
I do like the Bernie movie with Jack Black when he's that's a really good movie. Where he's the Undertaker in that Texas town. That's a highly recommended one.
Or Weekend at Bernie's, which essentially describes what Obama's been doing to Joe Biden for the past 5 years. Okay, keep this clip rolling, Blake.
Good names, Jane. Yes, we're close. Bernie Lomax, right? Wasn't that Weekend at Bernie's? Yeah. All right.
Is there a little bit more to see on this one?
You want to keep rolling?
I do. It's very important.
Okay.
He had taken ivermectin after getting COVID. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki pressured Spotify to take action, stating, quote, "We want every platform to be doing more to call out mis and disinformation while also uplifting accurate information." Spotify complied.
Yeah, so now shouldn't they promote all these channels, all the people that got,
yes,
harmed by this? Shouldn't they be like algorithmically rewarded?
Reparations, Blake. We demand reparations, except we were actually alive. We were actually the victims, and we can actually identify Jen Psaki, the Biden administration, Jill Biden, Barack Hussein Obama, George Soros, and everybody else running the puppet strings, and all the social media companies that complied. We can actually identify the assholes that took down information that could have potentially helped people about ivermectin, for example. And Nobel Award-winning medicine at a time when everybody was trying to figure out what was going on. We're actual victims. They are actually bad people, and we demand reparations. Let's get in on that class action. Okay, let it continue.
Let's do that. I want to say, to Jane. I think Jane maybe has me confused with Anomaly, because Anomaly was a Bernie guy. And I respected the Bernie people. I got along very well with the Bernie people when I was in Philadelphia at the DNC in 2016, fighting against the establishment. So I think their hearts were in the right place. So I don't have anything against the Bernie people, but I was never actually a fan. So maybe that's Anomaly, but it's all good.
What about Optimus? What about Optimus, like Optimus Prime?
Ooh,
you said you wanted something like Greek or Roman. You're thinking something strong and powerful?
Right. Okay. No, that's definitely. I would
so
put that
let's
on
think Star Wars characters.
No, Star Wars. Disney destroyed Star Wars now.
I know they really did.
Mark Hamill.
Transformer characters, or
I never watched any of those movies, so I had a few Transformers when I was a kid back like 40 years ago. Oh my God.
Exactly.
Old, but yeah, I remember Optimus Prime. I don't think I know any of the other robot names.
All right, let the clip continue. We're getting through it.
Spotify, of course, works with GARM. So, what are the brand safety standards that GARM uses? The standards begin with inarguable things that we've heard from the other witnesses, like preventing distribution of child sexual abuse material or stopping terrorism. But GARM doesn't draw the line at what is criminal, abusive, or dangerous. Their standards also include restrictions on hate speech, harassment, misinformation, or my personal favorite, insensitive, irresponsible, and harmful treatment of debated, sensitive social issues. Those criteria are highly subjective in theory, and they are purely partisan in practice. For example, last year, Daily Wire host Matt Walsh was fully demonetized on YouTube, a GARM member. Why? For quote-unquote misgendering, which to GARM is to say that men are not women. Perfectly obvious facts now run afoul of GARM's censorship standards. Companies targeted by GARM, like the Daily Wire, Breitbart, Fox News, and so many others, reach hundreds of millions of people with opinions and beliefs long established as within the mainstream of American conservative thought. GARM and its members have no respect for the beliefs of those people. They would like them marginalized or squashed. It's time to stand up for the First Amendment in this Congress. Congress can do so in two ways. First, Congress must investigate the informal and perhaps formal arrangements between censorship cartels like GARM and executive branch agencies. The Daily Wire has already filed a federal lawsuit against the State Department for allegedly doing just this. Second, Congress can itself stop engaging in violation of free speech principles. 2 weeks ago, writing in dissent in Murphy versus Missouri, Justice Alito condemned what he called sophisticated and coercive government campaigns against free speech.
Well, we're going to keep going. I know this is a longer clip, so I don't remember how many minutes it is because Instagram doesn't.
It's not showing you the end of it. Let's just give it one more minute and then we'll tear through the rest. It's just, it's so crucial that we're all distracted by Biden. It's like Biden's been a shit show for 6 years. Let them wallow in their trash.
Okay.
I'll get to it, but like this is like actual solutions to problems right here. And it's like we get wrapped up in just piling on the old guy that's going to be buried soon politically. And I mean, the guy's falling apart in front of us, but it's like, here's an actual solution. So we'll just give it another minute and then we'll bounce.
And then we're going to go through lightning round on the rest of the issues of the day. Here we go.
Members of this committee have engaged in precisely such campaigns. When Congressman Schiff speaks about targeting social media companies that must be, quote, pulled and dragged into this era of corporate responsibility because they are too tolerant of misinformation, he knows what he is doing. He is participating in a sophisticated, coercive campaign against free speech. When Congresswoman Jayapal blames social media for placing America at the, quote, precipice of a democratic crisis and calls on them to target they deem hate groups, she also knows what she is doing. She is participating in a sophisticated, coercive campaign against free speech. When Congressman Hank Johnson says, quote, we need a constitutional amendment to allow the legislature to control the so-called free speech rights of corporations, he also knows what he is doing. We all know what these government actors, what some people in this room, are doing. You're using the tacit threat of government action to compel private companies to throttle viewpoints you don't particularly like. The First Amendment was not designed to enable workarounds by elected officials. It was directed at Congress, at you, and you're abdicating your fundamental duty when you exert pressure on private companies to censor speech. Some in this room have been doing just that for years. We in the non-legacy media have been feeling the effects. In the name of the Constitution and the name of democracy, this should stop.
Okay,
so kudos to them. And I just liked when Swalwell, I thought we had the clip, but Swalwell's like, and did you say this? And did you say that? He's like, yes, I agree with me. It was awesome. It was so good. Like trying to, did you say that? He's like, yes, I'm a practicing Jew. That is how I feel about homosexual acts. Yep, I agree with me. It was just, I don't know. It was so funny. The only way that got better is if Swalwell if Shapiro worked in a Feng Feng reference. Yes, I agree with me. By the way, someone who had all of the, it was something about like, I have impulses too, but I control them. I just don't do it. I consider that to be a sin. He's like, yep, that's me. I agree with me. The only way that gets better is if he says, yeah, and maybe you could have done the same with Feng Feng. I mean, like the crowd erupted when he said, I agree with me. And I'm going to see that on hats and shirts. I agree with me. Like it was a great line. So anyway, check that out if you haven't seen it. There's some good stuff being done up there. Hopefully it's not just yap, yap, yap. Pass some stuff, change some stuff. And by the way, I want my reparations. And I'm representing Blake as well. We want our reparations.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, it really backfired. I don't know what the whole purpose of the meeting was about. I'm surprised they called Ben Shapiro up there, but they set themselves up to get roasted. So he did a good job there. You know, give credit where it's due.
Exactly. Okay, next topic, folks. I think Kenneth just recommended the name Cat Handy. Is that like Jack Handy? And now deep thoughts with Cat Handy.
Oh yeah, like Toonces, the driving cat, because he kind of
got those little arms.
Similar color, yeah.
It is the Toonces color. That's great. Yeah, like grayish and tabby, if you will. Okay, Blake, you have the topics in front of you. I don't know what you have queued up. If you want to talk about election fraud, Dems pulling the rug out, the SAVE Act committing treason. Yeah, you know what's up next, so take it where you want to take it, sir.
Okay, yeah. Where's Kenneth? Where's he commenting from? Rumble or Facebook?
He's. That's what I said. I said try to do it on Blake's YouTube. Try it on, I don't know, Twitter. Try it on our
No,
Twitters.
that's weird.
But he's saying like it's not coming through. But I'm reading it. He's saying, how about Worf? WORF. That's
That's Frankie Brown, though, isn't it? That's what I'm saying.
Peabody.
Right.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's Frankie Brown. Kenneth said Static the Cat or Cat Handy. But yeah, he's commenting on the New American Media YouTube channel. And I'm just kind of taking those off of here and putting them up here. I'm doing the best I can. I don't know why there's a glitch today. He always comments and it always pops up. So
yeah, that's bizarre. I remember getting punished for for whatever YouTube video they pulled. I don't know. So we're getting something.
Maybe
punished
that is
from behind the scenes by whatever fed
that's not, because
watching.
Frankie Brown is on the New American Media YouTube channel and she typed Peabody Wharf and Peabody Wharf showed up on the screen. So that's dispelling that YouTube is not letting comments through. It's not letting Kenneth's comments through. I don't know why.
Well, maybe Kenneth got in trouble. Maybe he's in the doghouse.
Ay. The cat house and the doghouse. Every hen house, outhouse, farmhouse, and house in there. Remember The Fugitive, Tommy Lee Jones?
Right.
Let's go out there and search every doghouse, outhouse, farmhouse, and hen house.
Exactly. So yeah, well, we'll see if I end up keeping the cat. I will absolutely keep all these names in mind. Look for a good one.
Thank you for participating. Yes,
thank you.
Okay, Blake, take it where you want to take it. We got all these stories coming up, and you have them queued up. So,
well, you just played the stinger. Where were you going to go?
Pulling the rug out after they let Trump win, or severe consequences for election fraud.
All right, we'll start there. Great article here by Brandon Smith from Alt Market US. Won't get into too much of it. I did share it on Twitter, but he's saying Trump's return, get ready for chaos to be unleashed and blamed on you. It kind of puts out the idea of the agenda. Well, let's see. What happens when Biden walks away? Just saying, if maybe the Democrats give up and they don't have anybody good, maybe they'll just let Trump win, and then they'll pull the rug out on everything, on the economy or what have you.
Blake, they don't have anyone that can win. It doesn't matter if they swap Joe. Nobody's beating Trump in a real election. There's no way he loses. Like zero chance.
Yeah, you wouldn't think so, but if they do, I guess their whole agenda would be to undermine the whole thing and then pull the rug out on the economy and what have you, and just chaos everywhere. And it's going to be that resistance 2.0, and it's going to get pretty ugly before it gets better. So as they desperately fight back, and of course I don't know what they're going to do as far as are they going to try the Russian meddling again? Like, but it was Russia interference. I don't know what they're going to do, but maybe they will. So it's just part of a strategy. But yeah, as part of the lightning round, I won't get into too much of the details, and I don't want to get lost. But I guess that is a possibility. So I would agree on that. I don't know who they're going to put up. I don't think they do either. It's going to be all kinds of infighting, and that's assuming that Joe is going to want to go. Is he going to listen to reason, or is he insulated and he's going to be controlled by Jill and Hunter, letting them make the decision to keep him in power? So anyway, we shall.
He seems to be stubborn and cantankerous. Jill is getting off on this. You see her puppet. It's almost like now you're starting to see Jim Henson's elbows. You're starting to see Jim Henson's the top of his head. You see the hat that he's wearing. You see like facial hair. You're seeing like the eyes. Like behind the Muppets, you're now seeing the person that's doing it, and it's increasingly Jill Biden. You're hearing that Hunter is trying to negotiate some sort of a buyout. Like, how much will the DNC pay me to go away? Is he doing it for money?
And will they pardon him from any crimes he may or may not have committed?
May not have. Oh, Lord, if there's justice in this world.
Well, did get busted on the gun charge, but whether he gets hit on the business dealings, I'm not sure. Will they pay him to go away?
But the question is, the problem to ponder is that Hunter Biden has been working as a deep state member. Like, we tend to think of it as like he's just the junkie kid, but he's the one setting up the deals. He's the one organizing the money laundering. He's the one provoking World War effing III right now. So he's on the deep state payroll. He's kind of running the show and has been. And he's out of his mind, and he's compromised and accepted what, several $1 million, maybe $5 million from China, and never paid back the loan, air quote loan. That's the way they like to do it. They're loans that are never repaid. But when you never repay a loan, the borrower is slave to the lender. Always. You've sold your soul, which is why the laptop was important, not just because he was debaucherous and a junkie, which he is and was and always will be. It's because he's compromised and blackmailed, which makes it incredibly dangerous for him to be affiliated with our government, which makes it dangerous and unelectable for Biden to get anybody's votes. But, 81 million totally legitimate votes. Yeah. Trump lost in 2020 to this clown. Sure he did. Okay. So they're saying that they're going to let him win and pull the rug out, Blake.
Well, just according to this author, maybe they get to that point. And yeah, of course, they're just going to try to cause chaos. They're not going to say, oh, okay, well, we didn't want Trump, but now let's come together as a country and support our president fair and square. It was all good. No, they ain't going to do that. They're going to just absolutely freak out like they did in 2016.
They're going to at the sky.
Yeah, pretty much. Oh, yeah, that girl in the green.
The instant meme. Like, you know what? I'm going to go make a difference today. I'm going to go and I'm going to protest and I'm going to shriek. Oh, you are, sweetheart. You're going to shriek for us every single day on those memes. Ooh, shriek for me, baby. Shriek for me. I love that.
Yeah.
Pretty classic. Okay, so that being the case, let's talk about what happens if the vote count comes up weird this time around, Blake. Should there be severe consequences for election fraud?
I guess they're going to have to. They got to try to find the right balance of whatever a severe punishment is, but where it's not so excessive that it's going to be hard to, for a jury to, to deliver that, or a judge to say, okay, that's a little too much.
But what is too much? What is too much when the penalty for treason is the death penalty? In Game of Thrones, if someone was trying to overthrow a king or queen, what happens to them? They end up on the chopping block, overthrowing your government, not by campaigning and having a lot of good ideas and building a coalition and shaking babies and kissing heads. I know I did that back, shaking hands and kissing babies. There are penalties for treason. Like it's not harsh. You go to the gallows. You go to the butcher block. Like the penalty for treason is the death sentence. It's capital punishment.
Yeah, I mean, for some of the people at the higher levels that really were involved, and I guess it could be either death penalty or 20 years or something. And then for some of the low-level people, maybe not so much.
Why not so much for the people actually doing it?
I mean, if somebody was, say, getting paid to, stuff ballot boxes.
Commit treason and overthrow the country in a coup? To usher in Marx and crap that devalues our dollar and enters us in a nuclear World War III. Yeah, the penalty for that should be death.
Sure, like Stacey Abrams or something. If she was caught red-handed, that would be like a treasonous type of deal. But if it's just some low-level staffer that was following orders, ends justify the means. Sure, what do they get? 4 or 5 years, maybe longer, depending on the severity of what they were actually doing. But if you just blanket, say, 20 years, no matter what, then I think it might be difficult for people to prosecute, perhaps. But so I think it'll vary. So anyway, this is an article out of Natural News. Trump promising to prosecute those involved in voter fraud if elected.
Very big difference.
For the second term, right?
The Democrats paint it as persecution, and Republicans are like, no, it's prosecution of crimes, you idiot. Like, it's not a persecution. That's an innocent man. That's what you've done to Trump. A prosecution is when you're caught. We caught them all, he said. We caught them all. Oh, did you? And for 4 years, nobody's done anything about it? Sure, you caught them all. Okay, trust the plan, right? Anyway.
Right. Well, so far, Donald Trump is promising to pursue criminal charges against everyone involved in voter and election fraud.
Yes.
So sending to prison election fraudsters at levels never seen before, and they will be sent to prison for long periods of time.
Good.
So I don't know if that's so we've heard 20 years. These are just, well, I think it's it's going to vary, But
and what about illegal alien invaders who attempt to steal the election? Should they be sent to Gitmo for 10, 20 years and then shipped back to their original country and have that country pay for their stay, bill them for the service, or immediately
I don't know if
deported or death
that's
penalty?
going to be, the logistics of that might not be doable.
To be a member of a foreign nation who comes in to overthrow that nation. I mean, that's, that's
depending on what it is, yeah.
So we'll see.
Right. It's kind of like, oh, okay, we'll build a wall and force Mexico to pay for it. Maybe. But anyway, let's, this is a little vulgar, but it's honest and real. This gentleman here is talking about the 198 Democrats that voted against the SAVE Act, and that only Americans should be allowed to vote in this election. So it's a 1.5-minute clip. So he thinks that this is treason. We covered this in the last show. And so let's roll this. And
by the way, I think we've been covering American treason for 13, 14 years on the New American Media. I mean, our logo has been changed to an upside down flag as a nation in distress at this point. Like, it cannot be any more dire than it is at this particular moment. We are so close to collapse, calamity, catastrophe, chaos.
All right. Yeah, I would agree with that. Okay, so everyone just brace yourselves for the crude language dispersed throughout this next 95 seconds.
I just can't deal with you fucking Democrats anymore. You fucking traitors to this country. Fucking treasonous pigs. That's what the fuck you are. With this, oh no, it's a good thing that these 198 Democrats voted against the SAVE Act. Y'all come with all kinds of fucking bullshit like, oh, it's already illegal. It's already illegal for illegals to vote. The SAVE Act stops illegals from voting. Yes, it may already be illegal. There already may be a law against it, but it's not preventing it. And the SAVE Act will prevent it. That's the fucking point. Prevention. But y'all want to bullshit. And let me ask you something. Is that the same logic you're going to use when Republicans go on the floor next week and say, oh, we have a bill, we have an act to help prevent child rape? Are y'all going to go on the floor and say, oh no, there's already laws against child rape. There's already laws against rape. Well, clearly it's not preventing it, you fucking idiots! That's the point! I just can't, bro! Y'all are a bunch of fucking treasonous nation-murdering parasites! Truly! Why the fuck are you against preventing illegals from voting in our elections? Y'all niggas are okay with people from China, people from Russia, people from North Korea, allegedly voting in this election? Really? Y'all that desperate to get a senile, Parkinson's diseased ass motherfucker reelected? Truly? Really? Fuck you!
Okay.
Well, Blake, I think you know, they say in the animal kingdom, by the way, you can find the Facebook group TNAM Animal Rescue. I'm a big proponent of helping animals. You may have found a cat because they say the cat distribution system works in mysterious ways. Your pets tend to adopt you, but that guy you just showed there might be the spirit animal of all of us.
Yeah, no, it's great. Yes, it's crude, but yes, that's effective. So people, yes, need to hear that. And he makes a great point. Just because it's like against the law, like people are, like everyone just follows the law blindly. So it's a terrible argument. But it's clearly like they want to commit election fraud, and they are saying it. I don't understand why they wouldn't just pass this unless they have some kind of ulterior motives and they know what's going to happen. They're trying to keep all their options open in case they need to stop counting in the middle of the night again.
Jane Meyer says, I love this guy, honest and raw.
Yeah,
she's probably talking about me. No, I'm just kidding about that guy that we just played the clip of. Yes, honest and raw. And look, how many times have we, we try to be pseudo professional when we do this show, but people, we talk like people talk sometimes. But yeah, we do try to tone down what we're really saying. It's like when the Key and Peele did the Obama translator. That was a hilarious sketch and so true. The Obama translator. Oh, that was good. It's like, well, what I'm saying is that the appropriations should probably be voted in the nomenclature of the tenure.
There you go.
Damn it, yo! Why are you making me do this? God, that was so funny, the back and forth. Oh, that was a great skit. Okay.
It was a great
Rogan's
show in general. It's too bad
Indeed.
they don't have that going anymore.
All right, what do you got here with Rogan on the open border?
Well, he's just, calling out. Rogan calling out the open border scam. They're literally importing the Democratic voters.
Insane.
So they're opening the border to the third world, giving them aid and housing, opposing voter ID, letting them vote, and it's going to be one-party rule forever.
Okay, well, you know what? Let me call on Joe Rogan for a second here.
Yeah.
You've met Trump how many times at the MMA events where he'll come up and the fighters jumping over. They love him. The crowd loves him. You've talked about just like the man of the people, this, that, and the other. Rogan, why don't you put Donald Trump on your show? Why don't you get off of the damn fence and just finish the sentence that you're too afraid to finish? You're theoretically one of the most fearless people out there. You lead the world's largest podcast empire with your comedy, your acting, your this, your that, your jiu-jitsu, your archery. You got a million things going on. You're on top of the world. He's a fearless man, but I don't get why he won't just wholeheartedly endorse Trump at this point. There is no Democrat option that can save this country.
He likes RFK Jr.
You can like RFK Jr. and recognize he has 0% chance of becoming president. And maybe he could join the Trump administration, part of the FDA, part of, I don't know, bring him in some capacity. I mean, he can like RFK, but that's not an answer. You have to vote one or the other this time around. There's times where there are protest votes. This isn't one of those years. This needs to be a 50-state blowout.
Well,
too big to rig.
See what happens in October, right? I'm sure once it comes down to the wire, he'll make a decision. He'll get off the fence. He's definitely not for Biden. At least that's what we can agree on.
All right. What else you got here on this one?
That's it. I mean, I could read a Scott Adams tweet if you want. Biden refusing to sign a bill preventing non-citizens from voting, or when that happens, that should become the only issue in the campaign because it gives away the whole game. It's an unambiguous statement of Democrats preferring their power, I should say, over your will. I could fill in the blanks here. There is literally no other way to explain what we observe. Ask every Democrat to explain why they voted against it, and their answers will sound stupid. Oh, it's because it's breaking the law, so they wouldn't do it. So ask Biden to defend it. You know how that will sound. Yeah, the guy with a potential 34 absurd felonies from a corrupt justice system isn't trying to steal your stuff and give it to strangers. Democrats are doing it while we watch.
That is, steal your stuff and give it to strangers. That's the Democrat Party in a nutshell. Man, this party needs to implode. They need to be starved of resources and voted out in mass in the biggest landslide we've ever seen. But it's going to come down to a couple of states, Blake. What is that? Yeah. If you don't vote Democrat, I'll flood the country with people who will. Good Lord. Well, it's going to come down to a couple of states and how they choose to handle the election, unless SCOTUS, I'm pleading to SCOTUS to make an emergency injunction and just declare there are massive problems with the validity and the transparency and the, just the validity and the checkability, auditability of the election. So we're mandating that every state only do paper ballots same day with watermarks labeled, numbered and labeled, and stacked, and cameras, like issue an edict and give them 4 months to comply. Otherwise, we're in trouble because state by state, they're trying to do all sorts of shenanigans. Blake, tell us about Wisconsin, where 2 people might be next week or so. We'll see.
Right. So the Wisconsin GOP is preparing for the return of ballot drop boxes in November's election again. So, and then I guess the GOP chairman has just said we either use them or lose. So that's what their Supreme Court has ruled over there in Wisconsin. So they reversed a previous court ruling and endorsed the widespread use of unattended absentee ballot drop boxes. And the ruling opens the door to the same kind of election shenanigans that plagued the Badger State in 2020. ran through by a 4-3 ruling. And so they're back.
Blake, would you leave an ATM, like say you owned an ATM, would you leave it open and unattended?
No, I don't think most people would.
Then why is anybody saying that leaving a ballot box unattended is something that's even remotely fathomable? Because that's what they're saying. It's not that the illegal alien invaders, that they're the deep state Democrat imported illegal alien invaders. It's not that they're going to show up. Hola, me llamo es something. Can I vote, please? It's not that they're all going to show up in person. All they need to do is get a green card or get something through the DMV with Pete Buttigieg, who we discussed on Tuesday. They just need to be in the system as a air quote registered voter. They need to get signed up with a work visa, something. Some states are allegedly throwing these people onto active voter rolls. So then they're never going to get a ballot. It's going to go to one office, and somebody in that office is going to rubber stamp them, run them through the printer. They're going to add all the right votes, and they're just going to drop them. Here, do 100 a day, and we're just going to flood this with fake votes. That's what they're trying to do. It's not that they're all going to show up. It's that they're going to have a name in a system that's untrackable, untraceable. And then, Blake, oh, you know what? Oh, my gosh, it looks like Joe Biden has been reelected as president of the United States. Once that happens, how do you undo it? There were piles of accusations and evidence that none of the courts would even touch. Oh, no, there's no standing. You can't take a look. Well, yeah, I'm sorry. Texas has a right to say, I don't believe what happened in Wisconsin is legitimate. Our vote is tied to theirs. Our federal tax dollars are being confiscated and redistributed. Yes, I have standing in that. Yes, I'll file on in behalf of what happened in Arizona, what happened in Michigan, what happened in Pennsylvania, what happened in Atlanta, in Georgia. Blake, if they're able to claim a victory on election night, I don't want to finish that sentence, but I do want to point out that a lot of people have been using the phrase civil war over the past year or two. I think you should just remember the term revolution. In a civil war, everybody loses. In a revolution, the good guys win. At least, in your mind, you can envision something like that. But a civil war is just a mess between ourselves. A revolution is taking out the cheaters, taking out the treasonous people. It's just, but there's no possible belief that Biden is liked, trusted, supported in any number that could allow a victory for him. So I don't know. I hope they're not stupid enough to try to push so hard, because January 6th was a warning. If they try it again in everybody's faces, pray for the outcome. I hope these people are not that stupid, but they really repeatedly keep proving that they are. So we'll see. But let's tell us what's going on in Michigan now. There's more stuff.
All right. Yeah. So 5-minute lightning round. Yeah. I won't even get into what the shenanigans they pulled in Wisconsin last year in 2020 with the massive voter fraud. And there's some big accusations going on with this Claire Woodall chasing.
Pause on Claire Woodall. I'm sorry, Blake. Go to CISA.gov/rumor control for countervailing views about the 2020 election, because they think it was the only safe and secure election in the history of elections. Go to CISA.gov/rumor control for countervailing views. Go ahead, Blake.
Right. So apparently, and this we'll see, not necessarily, yeah, exactly. CISA, we don't want to trigger anybody. Allegedly, she forced out the Republican observers around 10:30 the night before, and then there were huge drops at 1:30 and 3:30 in the morning. This is from Peter. This is allegations from Peter Berniger. Dwayne Johnson and DJ Sons of Trucking LLC caught the fraudulent ballots central count at 1:15 on November 4th. Yeah, chasing out observers. And then Claire's on a video getting into a police SUV. Like, there's some really weird stuff. But it also happened in Detroit at TCF Center. You had vans coming in, rolling through in the middle of the night. And now you've got Gretchen Whitmer, the governor.
Whitmer's better.
Yeah. She just signed a law, apparently. I haven't got a source on this, but this is trending, and it's from Libs of TikTok. Signed a bill into law which prohibits recounting votes based on allegations of election fraud. So now ask yourself, why would anyone do this? And of course, the answer is because they're cheating. They plan on cheating. It's how outrageous is that? They're going to get rid of any ability to recount when people are going to call the count into question, which they are allowed to do. So they are really freaking out. Yes, they're rejecting the SAVE Act, and they're bringing ballot boxes back in Wisconsin, and now Whitmer is preventing people from recounting. Like it's getting pretty ugly out there. This is really high stakes, and yes, Brian, this could lead to a civil war if we can't agree on how the election goes.
A revolution, Blake, not a civil war. A revolution.
Yeah, there you go. So, and yes, well, there's another problem with Wisconsin. It might already be too late for Democrats to replace Joe Biden without surrendering several battleground states, because states have their own different laws. But apparently, Georgia, Nevada, and Wisconsin, you're not allowed to move or remove the candidate from the ticket unless they have some kind of unless they die. So they're going to run into some issues. So if they're unable to run Joe, they might not be able to vote in Georgia, Nevada, or Wisconsin. That would give Trump 3 victories right there. So,
by the way, opponents of this Michigan thing say eliminating the canvasser's investigatory powers and scrapping protections against election worker interference will make fraud more difficult to address and compromise election security. Quote, watering down protections is counterproductive when several red flags had arisen within the state's election process, end quote, says Representative Jamie Green from Richmond. For example, there being no system to tell if someone votes in multiple states. A real issue facing the state of Michigan is evidenced by the Secretary of State removing some 170,000 people no longer living here from our voter rolls only after she was sued. And these new laws are effective immediately and will apply to the August primary races. Good grief, Blake.
Yeah.
On display for everyone to see. They want things vulnerable for shenanigans. I don't.
Absolutely.
Okay, go to VP, Blake. Would it be a mistake to bring in Marco Rubio? Agree, disagree? Marco Rubio would be a big mistake.
2 more quick ones. I'll just send a very quick one on that one because there's another story that we need to spend a minute or 2 on. But I'm not a fan of Marco Rubio. I mean, maybe if they're thinking that it's going to strategically looking at it, it does look like maybe Rubio could be as part of the old guard neocon GOP base, and you've also got the Hispanic support.
One more thing, though, Blake. Isn't there something that the vice president and president can't be from the same state? They're both Florida, though. Wasn't that a thing?
Yeah. Well, maybe that would disqualify them because I know he's on like the list of 3. It's like apparently 3 that have been named. It's J.D. Vance from Ohio, and then Rubio, and then is it Burgum, North Dakota governor?
Yeah.
Doug Burgum. So those are allegedly the short list, but we'll find out probably within the next week who the actual nominee will be. But you've got, in this article, you've got, even Don Trump Jr. warning against Marco Rubio, his father's running mate. I would agree with that. So it's not even anything personal. I just think that the people that run Rubio have bad intentions. So, and he's kind of another puppet senator.
Well,
but anyway,
it's a lot, Blake. It's a lot like Huma Abedin marrying George Soros' son.
That got pushed off the list today because there was just so many other stories. I had to cut a few.
But it's like you do not want Hillary Clinton's team salivating over $50 billion, however many billions of dollars are in the war chest. You do not want to be off. You do not want to be in that secondary position. If the neocons can get that close to VP, you better look out for Trump. Just like you would never want Hillary as your VP. Like you'd get stabbed in the back in a heartbeat, theoretically and literally, honestly. Just ask Vince Foster, if you will.
Okay. Well, then the final story then, we're not going to do the big boy press conference. George Stephanopoulos.
The big boy press conference was supposed to be at 5:30.
You can cover that after I go. I got like a minute, Brian. I'm sorry. Let's just real quick. Let me talk about this. There's some interesting points. I don't know if I'm going to have time to get in here, but ABC's brutal ultimatum to veteran anchor after he admitted that he doesn't think Biden can serve 4 more years to a hidden camera.
He can't.
So TMZ caught him. Hot mic. Here we go. Hey.
Excuse me. Hey, how you doing? Good. What do you think? Do you think Biden should step down? You talk to him more than anybody else have lately, and you can be honest. You don't think he can serve 4 more years? All right, that's an answer.
Boom. He's just out on a jog, doesn't know he's being filmed, and he admits. And this is after he interviewed him to see if he was, okay after the disastrous debate. So then they found George, and now they're freaking out about that at ABC News. So they've convened a crisis meeting with the advisors, executives, and public relation consultants, a full-fledged crisis with far-reaching reverberations. And they confronted Stephanopoulos in a private meeting, delivering an ultimatum that he should either apologize or face being taken off the air because the network's concerns centered on the potential compromise of journalistic objectivity. A cornerstone. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Who do they think they're fooling? No, so he has no reason to apologize. And I don't like George. He's a total hack, flack, lackey for the establishment. But to think that ABC has any credibility, and they're also afraid of losing access because now, the White House is not going to do interviews with ABC anymore. But that's how things work. And that's why this corporate media can never be trusted. So you actually get a moment of truth out of him when he's not thinking he's being filmed. And now they're going to try to force him into this apology, and they're having a full-blown crisis behind the scenes. It's pathetic. But on that note, Brian and everybody, I do have to run. But we could have some exciting stuff coming up next Tuesday. But thank you. TV's Blake Walley on Twitter, and thenextlevelnews.com will be the archive. And Brian, you can talk about the big boy press conference today. And I will. Thank you. All right, guys. Thank you all. Have a good one, and we'll catch you next time.
Thank you, Blake. TV's Blake Walley, everybody. Thenextlevelnews.com for the archive, and at TV's Blake Walley on X for his X feed. If you'd like to support independent journalism, you could donate to Blake, because guess what? There might be a field trip on the horizon. You know how Blake and I have been to, we've been to the Bundy Ranch in Nevada. He went out to the Democrat convention in 2016. He and I went to the Republican convention in 2016. We were at the Libertarian convention in 2024, a month ago. All those things cost money. And we may or may not be reporting live from Milwaukee next week. So if you would like to assist Blake in filling up the gas tank or getting some of the hotel costs, you could donate on Cash App. He's over there. It's $ Blake W99. $ Blake W99. I guess the only thing I wanted to add about... Here, let me pull this off for 1 second. The only thing I wanted to add about the Big Boy conference, the Big Boy, what did we title it? The Big Boy, Big Boy press conference. They're really just, there's a phrase. You give them enough rope to take care of themselves with. I think you can't even say that word or else you'll get demonetized or shadow ban, they'll hide your content. You're promoting dangerous something information. No, it's a turn of phrase. You give them the ability to take themselves out. Never interrupt an opponent when they're in the process of wrecking themselves. Let them wreck themselves. Give them the rope. They're putting Biden out to do a press conference. Without training wheels. Oh, good Lord. They're trying to shame him into getting out of the race. They're trying to short circuit. They've been the ventriloquist behind Biden this entire time. They've all known what Biden is and what he is not. They've all known. They've always known. How could you not know? The fact that he's doing a big boy press conference, the fact that he's been out there doing these rallies, and man, he did something really weird the other day. If you scroll back on our timeline on X at American_media_, you'll see he grabs the microphone out of some lady's hand at an event and starts rambling about, DEI or ESG or something. And the cameraman has to get off him and they cut the feed. Dude's out of his mind. And Peter Doocy, another clip that the reason I'm mentioning these clips is I don't have them queued up for today's show. Unfortunately, Blake and I, we produce, we engineer, we edit, we upload, we do all the text, we do all the. We're playing like 7 roles here, creating the show. But if you scroll back on our X feed at American_media_, you'll see it. Peter Doocy even said, hey, so, you said Biden's best before 8 p.m. or something like that. Sundowners, and they're all trying to claim Parkinson's, but is it dementia? Whatever the case may be, it's all bad. But the question is, well, if there's a nuclear incident and it happens at 11 p.m., who do you call? Jill Biden? And that got a laugh in the press room, but it's like, no, really, who do you call? You can't call Biden. Like, you just kind of assume he slips in. I'm envisioning the Mr. Burns. It sure was nice of Mr. Burns to invite us to vacation at his. What was it? It sure was nice of Mr. Burns to invite us to his vacation house here in Pennsylvania. And then lightning. In that one, Mr. Burns is kind of playing Dracula. I think it was Bram Stoker's Dracula in 92, 93, 94, something like that. And it's just like sliding into his coffin when he goes to sleep. I just kind of envision Biden in some sort of pod coffin. You're not waking him up. You got called Jill, then she has to press the button. All the smoke, the cryogenic haze. Get rid of the smoke. And then bum 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 bum. He's like lifted. There's some sort of like one of those Tempur-Pedic beds. You press the button, it goes. Now I can read the TV guide in bed. But really, Peter Doocy's like, well, if there's an emergency, who are you calling after 8 p.m.? It's not Joe. And, as funny as this is to let the Democrats watch them, it really is the snake eating its own tail. Have at it, Ouroboros. Have at it. Like, you guys did this to yourself. Take another bite. This is glorious. But unfortunately, the fact remains. There may not be a more dangerous time in American history, at least recent American history, than we're living through right now. For the love of God, who is in charge? This guy's not in charge. So, hello, GH. What's up? Let's see what GH is saying. This could be fun. Yes. Good evening, GH. If I am free to disagree, I disagree. What do you disagree with? Here, let's see. First sign of a lazy argument, number of times one says the word they. What was the sentence with they too many times in it? And evening to you, of course. Second sign of a lazy argument, number of times one has to resort to stupid metaphors and cheap analogies and highlight extreme scenarios to justify one's partisan position. All right, that's a little bit of word salad. If you can be specific, what are you disagreeing about? Specific. One sentence, just 11 words, 15 words, one tight sentence. Make your disagreement. Let's hear it said, GH. But I want to talk about this. I had this pulled up here to kind of piggyback off the Stephanopoulos thing. No, Stephanopoulos should not apologize. No, Snuffleupagus should not be fired from his job. That's insanity. No, you don't do that. Don't do that. Please, let's not play this game. Here, let me pull up the article. I guess I'll read this from NPR. So this radio host here, hang on, is it up on the screen? I think it is. I switched. Yep. Yeah, okay, good. It's still up on the screen. A radio host has resigned after interviewing Biden with questions provided by his campaign. Guess that's the radio host there. Andrea Lawful Sanders. Lawful. Rhymes with awful, but Lawful? That's an interesting name. Resigned from her position at Word Radio, WURD. Philadelphia radio host parted ways with her station after interviewing Biden with questions provided by Biden's campaign. a move prohibited by many newsrooms, including her own. I did not read the word they in that first paragraph, let it be known. Andrea Lawful Sanders is one of 2 journalists, both hosts of black radio shows in critical swing states, who acknowledged over the weekend that the Biden camp had fed them questions for interviews earlier in the week. Oh, here it is. Their administrations come at a time. It doesn't make anything lazy. It just says their administrations. Their administrations. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm reading that wrong. Their admissions. Their admissions come at a time when the president's already facing heightened scrutiny. Yeah, that's mildly typed there. Mild, heightened scrutiny. Trying to do damage control following it. Shaky performance. Ah! Okay, so that wasn't a total train wreck. That was a shaky performance in the debate against Trump. Lawful Sanders hosted The Source on Word Radio, independent black-owned talk radio station serving Philly. He spoke to Biden on July 3 in what the station called his first media appearance since the debate. The 14-minute interview aired the following morning, and Biden stressed the power of black voters and outlined some of his administration's wins for black communities, such as supporting HBCUs. Yeah, by the way, Trump did that. Trump bent over backwards for HBCUs. So if you're trying to compare that, I've heard some stuff in the past couple of weeks where Biden's team is trying to compare crowd sizes to Trump's, as if that's a winning strategy. I don't know who's advising the Dems, but it is an unwinnable task. It's an undoable job. No wonder Jen Psaki ran the first moment she had a chance to bail on that sinking ship. And then he touts nominating the first black female Supreme Court justice. Anyway, so these interviews went out, and here's another one, host Victor Blackwell on this other show. Hang on a second. What are we saying here? Anyway, it's being brought out. Had the host been given questions from the White House or the campaign, or been required to submit theirs ahead of time? The reason I ask is not a criticism of either of you. It's just that if the White House is trying now to prove the vim, vigor, acuity of the president, I don't know how they do that by sending questions first before the interview so the president knows what's coming. Well, by the way, the Democrats, the deep state, they give all the questions for all the debates to all the Democrats. Even Fox. Fox is not Republican leaning. Yeah, you have the 5. You have a couple of shows. They got rid of Tucker, their number 1 guy. They've ran how many people out of there? They had Chris Wallace running interference, pushing the 51 fake intelligence officials incorrect information, pushing the Fine People hoax during that debate. Fox is not right-leaning. Fox is deep state neocon. Fox is George Bush, Marco Rubio, Mitt Romney, Liz Cheney. That's Fox. That's why we don't watch Fox. That type of crap doesn't appeal to us. We've called it out. We've identified it. But this Lawful Sanders, she's saying that the questions that were sent to her for approval, and then she got several questions, 8 of them specifically, and then 4 were chosen, were the ones that she approved. Okay. So about this radio host, they were given questions. I don't see any problem with it. Now, what you're going to say is that, well, yeah, you should have a problem with it. And the problem with it is you don't have someone off the top, kind of sharp, quick. You know, you ever see, who's that comedian that got really big this past year? Matt Rife. I've seen very few of his, very little, comparatively speaking, much smaller percentage of Matt Rife doing prepared stand-up. What I've seen is a lot of crowd work. So there's like sketch comedy, there's improv comedy, there's written comedy, there's impromptu. And so Matt Rife is really good at off the top, and he interacts with people and it's quick jokes. Trying to keep it steering, trying to steer it and keep it moving in a hilarious fashion. If the Democrats are trying to prove that Biden's with it and he's sharp as attack. Project 25, Project 25, Project 25. Monorail. Sharp as attack. insurrection. They think if they repeat the that was the other thing that Ben Shapiro said today. He said if you keep repeating something long enough, like Tinkerbell or whatever, that you're going to bring your candidate back to life. It got a big laugh. I'm paraphrasing. Find that. We shared it on the New American Media on X. But back to this. The ability to go off the top of your head, that is something that I like to do. I really like to do. And it's kind of like a mentality that's born through repetitive experience. I've done a lot of things as a server, as a bartender, in sales, and just me being me. I have a lot of interpersonal communication skills, practice, experience. I've done this a lot. And so that is maybe where I excel. But Biden, I mean, he loses his train of thought. Now, look, I lose my train of thought all the time. But I'm able to usually, maybe 90% or more, I'm usually able to get it back on track and kind of remember what it was I was talking about. Joe Biden gets lost. And so I understand where there would be some pushback saying, well, you gave him the questions. He's a train wreck. You can't let that happen. We're trying to find out if the guy's with it, and you're not giving us a chance to know that because of the way that you're treating him. Joe did such a good job today, says Dr. Jill Biden, the babysitter. He answered all of the questions. Okay. That's so good. That's so good, Joe Biden. A radio host, no matter if they're talking to an author, an actor, a musician, a comedian, people kind of going around doing the circuit. That's how this stuff works. It's not just that people jump onto the Tonight Show or Late Night with Jimmy Kimmel or, I don't know, pick your favorite late night show, even though they've all kind of sucked for 20 years. The heyday of talk radio or of late night radio. Jeez. The heyday of late night talk shows is in the rearview mirror. But the reason they do these shows, the guests, is they're promoting something. They're running for president. They're selling a book. Their new movie's coming out. They're touring, and they're going to be in the Philadelphia area in a month. Or, hey, I'm a comic, and I'm doing a show tonight. Come on out and see me at Laffy McChuckleson's down on 4th. Okay, Laffy McChuckleson's it is. So they're all selling something. And when that happens, the PR team, they're going to give you a list of questions. Not everybody's going to have time to read the book. So give me the bullet points of some questions that I could ask you if I didn't do the homework to read the book. What can I ask that will sound like a legitimate question that will allow you to say some things that you wanted to promote? That's what that's maybe to the untrained viewer, maybe people didn't realize that. If you look back at the comedians, Robin Williams, Norm Macdonald, Mitch Hedberg, I just go back to some of the classics. You could do your Burt Kreischers and your Tom Segura's, whatever it is today. But I'm thinking back to like when talk shows were kind of fun, late night talk shows were fun. And there would be a setup in the green room. The producer, before the show starts, it's like, hey, so we're gonna need some fun stories that maybe you can talk about. Let me know like some things you want to talk about, and we can turn them into questions. Say, so my understanding is you went on vacation to Vermont last month. How did that go? The host doesn't know that. The host doesn't know that person wants to talk about that. The producer asked the guest, what do you want to talk about? Oh, you want to talk about Vermont? You put it on the list, and the interviewer kind of leads with that and asks the question, and they're steered toward an answer they want to say. So look, with this radio DJ who was given questions and she spoke about it, I don't think the bad thing is that she asked questions that were pre-approved by the Biden campaign. I think the bad thing is that she pulled back the curtain and you saw the Wizard of Oz. You saw the little man back there. She wasn't supposed to say that I wasn't allowed to talk to Biden off the cuff. I couldn't challenge him. I don't even think it went that far. And it was a friendly interview. It was kind of like a laid back chit chat. It wasn't hard hitting that, it's not going to be a gotcha. It's not, I cornered you outside the Bilderberg meeting and I got a couple questions about the New World Order and how you're trying to do this and that. Okay, there's a time and a place for every type of interview. And you'd be surprised the value you can glean from a seemingly innocuous interview. There's all sorts of interesting tidbits of data you could pull out from one of those. I like interviews of all kind. I think all of them serve a function. They all have a place in our society. And I'm going to defend this lady that got fired. I think it's trash. If they're just mad at her because she mentioned the truth, I'm getting tired of people getting punished for telling the truth. So I'm going to defend this lady who got fired. And I'm bringing it back. I'm looping it over to the George Snuffleupagus story. Because he's allowed to be asked a question and he's allowed to answer it. He just sat down with the guy. And if the answer is, I don't think he's going to make it another 4 years. Yeah, we all see that. By the way, Mr. Weather Forecaster, am I going to get wet today? Well, we're standing in the rain. Oh, emergency meeting. We might need to fire George Snuffleupagus because he said it's raining. Yep. What are you saying? I'm going to defend George Snuffleupagus. I don't like the guy. Once again, the hatchet man for the Clintons, mouthpiece for the New World Order, for the deep state Democrats, for the traitors, the people trying to destroy this country. No fan. No fan of George Snuffleupagus. But he's out jogging or whatever, and he's asked and he answers. I don't think he's going to make it 4 years. Yeah, no shit. Nobody does. Nobody sees him lasting. I'm sorry, is that supposed to be controversial now? Because I'm just not seeing it. So I'm going to go ahead and defend Snuffleupagus, and I'm going to defend the radio host. I think getting punished for saying the truth, I'm really over that. Okay, back to GH here. I think GH might have left, but okay, saying justifying a partisan position. Yes, you have partisan positions too. Okay, calling it lazy. Okay, saying using the word they. We're not supposed to use the word they. All right, I asked for specifics. Here we go. GH says, I equated Mr. Burns from The Simpsons with Biden, hence a cheap metaphor. Do you ever see Joe Biden walk? Do you ever see Mr. Burns walk? The gait, G-A-I-T, their stride. More accurately, I could have said C-3PO. I could have made a Star Wars reference because he just walks like a robot. Like C-3PO, teetering on the verge of collapse at any moment. Just fall over. Bink. All right, so you didn't care for the... But they look the same. They're all liver spotted. They're all sunken face, old, gray hair fading away, or fake hair. I got no problem with the Simpsons metaphor. By the way, you must be new to the show. I make Simpsons metaphors as much as possible, usually multiple times a show. GH saying a sinking ship. How many people left the Trump administration, wrote books about him, publicly admonished him, testified against him, etc.? Yeah. You mean the deep state hacks that he surrounded himself with in round one? I assure you, a different type of interview process is going to be occurring for the second Trump administration. I don't think we're going to see a lot of these same deep state actors in there. Mark my words. And that's not to say he's going to be 100%. I don't think that's possible. But what is the percentage of qualified, awesome people Trump had around? There's no way President Trump could have understood the level of I guess just the level of treason swimming around him. The backstabbers and the liars, yeah. Oh, there's a lot of people who wanted to write books and ruin the guy. I mean, all the more reason to support him now. If all the wrong people are against him, okay. Yeah, if you're going to say because Adam Kinzinger and Liz Cheney were on the J6 committee, then deleted all their evidence, by the way, to protect their frame job, their attempt to railroad him, bearing false witness. Yeah. So if you're gonna judge President Trump by the quality of people who he turned away from him, that decided they don't like him and tried to take him out of office multiple times, like Liz Cheney, Adam Kinzinger, Mitt Romney, well, if you're judged by the company you keep, I think you're also judged by the quality of people who can't stand you. Costanza? Can't stand you. That's a Seinfeld reference if it's not too sophomoric for the moment. GH continues. Psaki? Really? That was a while ago. Yeah. She fled the sinking ship. That's a bit of a tongue twister. She fled the sinking ship. I said it at the time. Anybody with eyes could see where that was headed. The Biden train wreck disaster. I know I'm mixing metaphors now. Hope it's not too cheap. Yes, I mixed a boat metaphor with a train. Hey, you know what I'm doing? I'm pretending to be Pete Buttigieg. That's what I'm doing. I am playing the role of Pete Buttigieg. You got trains going off the track and fires being intentionally set to toxic chemicals in the water system in East Palestine, Ohio, under Pete Buttigieg's watch, because he's being rumored as one of the people that could replace Biden, or at least be VP. Or are we talking about the Boeing penalties for killing, what was it, 86 people? That was a news story you'll find if you go back on the X feed for American_media_. Please follow us. Boeing had to pay 1/3 for killing 68 people. I believe it was 68. Then Alex Jones was fined for talking and saying words. You want to make that make sense? So yeah, Pete Buttigieg, planes falling out of the sky, trains exploding after being derailed. That is the perfect metaphor for the Biden administration. GH, this is like George H.W. Bush is what I'm taking away from the GH. Saying that interpersonal skills do not equal maintaining a train of thought. Good Lord, you are as much a meanderer as Trump. Well, thanks. See, people show up for my brain, my intellect, my interesting train of thought, my rants, my jokes, my metaphors. That's why I've been doing shows for 14 years. I think I have something interesting to say. I can connect dots that were previously unconnected. I try to. And I try to present things as accurately as possible. And I will read some constructive criticism. Even. How about that? Yeah, the definition of meanderer is one that meanders. That's not super helpful. To proceed by a winding or indirect course. To wander aimlessly or ramble. See, all of mine kind of connect back. I do have connective tissue. I do have key bullet points that I wish to address along the journey. But thanks for that. And yeah, Trump does meander. But Trump, much like myself, fancies himself a bit of a stand-up comedian. And I've been meaning to get on stage. I've never written a 4-minute comedy set before. Oh, I just flew in and boy, my arm's tired. No, I won't be doing that one. But I do try to tell jokes and I try to make people laugh all the time. So I'm a form of a comic, a version of a comic. I would like to cross stand-up off my list and maybe continue doing it if it goes well. Maybe continue doing it if it doesn't. But yeah, I do meander and I do wander along these stories because there's oftentimes multiple layers to this. You see, and today was going to be a special day. At 5:30, Resident Biden was going to be giving his big boy news conference. Oh, let me just pull that story up, and I'll end the story and the episode here. But I guess they've delayed the presser for an hour. I think that's the latest information they're giving us. Let me pull this up on the screen here. This is from the New York Compost. Biden's high-stake big boy press conference has been delayed, so it might miss the evening news broadcast. Jeez, look at this weirdo. Look at him just yelling. At least right at the beginning. You see it? Here we go. Look at Biden's facial expressions. Okay, come on. GH, how are you going to look at Biden and not see the comparison between Mr. Burns? Biden is Mr. Burns. And by the way, look at that. What's that eagle? He's got an eagle in front of him. That's not the presidential emblem. That's interesting. Or not. So President Biden's highly anticipated big boy press conference Thursday, his first formal solo press conference in Washington since 2022. It's been 2 years since he's done a solo press conference in Washington. You can hate Trump for ridiculous reasons. You can hate Trump you can blow a couple of small issues into mammoth reasons. But that dude was fearless, and he took every press conference possible. When it was COVID, he was out there every day. And no, he never said to inject bleach, you idiots. Stop saying it. You're embarrassing everybody around you, especially you. There were disinfectant treatments, ultraviolet light capsules that could be swallowed, that could illuminate, irradiate, that could help with the lungs and help internally. The sunlight is the best disinfectant. You ingest a disinfectant, a light. It was inarticulately tossed out there as an aside. It wasn't an edict from the White House to go home and start chugging Clorox, you morons. That's called a RUPAR, where Aaron Rupar will selectively edit when Donald Trump says, and there were very fine people on both sides. Now, I'm not talking about the white supremacists or neo-Nazis. They should be condemned totally. But I'm saying there's people out there that wanted to keep the statue and people that wanted to take the statue down. And there were a lot of good people out there. Aaron Rupar cut out the part that gives all the context and then says Trump says Nazis are fine people. A complete lie through omission. By the way, it's exactly what they did to Alex Jones today. It's trending. That something about assassinating Biden. That do the Democrats have a plan to take him out? And yes, we've talked about that with every president. But then they're trying to gaslight and say, look what Jones is calling for. He's like, no. He's in the title of it. They focused on 3 words together. They omitted the entire phrase. It's something like, do Democrats have a plan to assassinate Joe Biden? Okay. So the lies of omission are huge. And President Trump, he went up there every day and he would give you those press conferences, multiple hour press conferences. Dude was tireless. Biden never campaigned in 2020. He hasn't done a press conference solo since 2022. This is a joke. You should be embarrassed for yourself if you voted for Biden. You should be embarrassed for the Democrat Party you used to think had some of your best interests in mind. And you should be even more embarrassed for yourself if you're considering doing it again. Shame on you. Ditch the Democrats. And if you want to fix the Republicans, if you want to start a third party and restore some sort of semblance as an opposition to the Republican Party in the next cycle, fine, do that. But you've got to retire every single Democrat in this cycle. They have earned it. Anyway, this would have been cool as a 25-minute filibuster gearing up for like a live Biden train wreck. But I'm not going to do this for another hour. So we'll just kind of get the lowlights tomorrow. Make sure you're following us on all of the other platforms. But anyway, they're saying that the event was delayed due to a NATO schedule, which began later than expected. Democrats who support Biden are anxious about the event at Washington's Convention Center, which will be his first time formally facing a room full of reporters in Washington since November 2022. In his first extended Q&A session with journalists since his confused June 27 debate performance. I feel like the narrative needs to change. So either Democrats need to get behind Biden or he needs to step aside, but we are losing time. A Democrat source close to the White House told the Post. So tune in for the embarrassment that they're trying to put Joe Biden through. Shame, shame, shame. They are trying to shame Joe Biden into backing down. So yes, thank you for enjoying my meandering today. We covered a lot of ground here, people. There's a lot of stuff to talk about. And I want to encourage you to follow the New American Media in our various locations. Every one of the places you're following us on today might not be here tomorrow. We don't know what tomorrow will bring with more censorship or shadow banning, demonetization, or deletions. So we are going to encourage you to follow us in all of the places. The newamericanmedia.com is our hub. Go there. Haven't done a lot there lately, but I do plan on getting back in and refreshing that a bit. If you go on the right-hand side, lower right-hand side, middle right-hand side of the newamericanmedia.com, you will find our Facebook page, The New American Media. Please like that page, interact with it, subscribe to it, whatever it takes, whatever that means. You can search TNAM's The Agree to Disagree Show as a private group on Facebook, or TNAM, TNAM Food and Drink, TNAM Humor, TNAM Grow Something. We have several groups. Search TNAM for The New American Media and follow those groups. And if it's private and says, hey, how did you find us? Say, Brian invited me, and we'll let you in. Also, find us on Instagram, The New American Media. Usually in the morning, we will put out our stories of the day. I don't know, 10, 20, 30 sometimes. And there's enormous swaths of information found on the New American Media Instagram page. It's kind of where memes go in the grand scheme of things. But the daily stories that we share are massive. And I do intend to have Adam Boyd from Soulful Training. He's doing Tour de Patriot. He's riding on his bike 1,200 miles across the original 13 U.S. colonies. We had him on as a guest on Tuesday's show, so go back and check out Tuesday's program. He was on for the final half hour. But he and I were discussing doing Instagram Live together. Haven't done that before. So we want to try to use these platforms for all of the reasons they were intended. But definitely link up with us on those. Go to Odyssey.com. Odyssey is our backup for the YouTube channel. So on Odyssey, Odyssee, everything we post to YouTube is duplicated and uploaded to Odyssey. Find the New American Media, subscribe. Of course, YouTube has almost 1,500 videos from us from the past 13 or so years. Go to youtube.com/@thenewamericanmedia. You know, we got thousands of subscribers, millions of views, 1,500 videos, lots of interesting stuff. Please go there and please watch a few shows. Press play and let them play. We're trying to boost the number of minutes that are being watched so that we can gain our monetization back. They've made it a little bit more interesting and tricky. And of course, they don't let many of the subscribers even notice we don't show up in the suggested feed. That feels painfully obvious. But yeah, please link up with us there. On X, as I said, we're at American_media_. We need more Truth Social subscribers. So go to Truth Social, find The New American Media, and hit subscribe, please. Interact with us. Reshare our content. On Rumble, Rumble's a great alternative to YouTube. I love having it. Rumble.com/The New American Media. Go there, hit subscribe ASAP. Please let those videos play. We are monetized on Rumble. Man, that feels good. It's been a long time. And that's exactly what Ben Shapiro was in front of Congress talking about. Like, man, the amount of measures you've taken to kneecap us, to take out our funding. It's just, you cannot even believe that this is America right now. Under this third Obama term, puppeted with Joe Biden with his wrists and ankles at the end of marionette strings. So subscribe to the New American Media on Rumble. Also, our podcast is on Spotify, The Agree to Disagree Show. Please find us there. If you like what we are doing, and you would like to contribute to our endeavors to go on the ground and give you information right from the source, you can go to Venmo and find me at Brian Engelman, BrianEngelman. And you could donate that way. Thank you so much to those who have. You know who you are, and we really appreciate you. And finally, patreon.com/The New American Media. You can sign up to be a $5 a month reoccurring sponsor, $15 a month. For just the same price as you could pay Netflix to push their radical agenda on you, you could support independent journalism. Or you could sign up for $100 a month or $1,000 a month. We would appreciate all of it. I think we have a $10,000 tier as well. Hey, I'll take a reoccurring $10,000 a month, $120K a year that'll bring you a lot of liberty right there. But anything you would be interested in supporting us with is all appreciated, of course. On Telegram, we're TNAM and TNAM Chat. TNAM and TNAM Chat on Telegram as well. Almost forgot that one. So follow us in all those places. I appreciate you all for joining us today, including GH, who shows up occasionally to, tell us how much he does not enjoy our program. So thank you. But to everybody else out there who's enjoying the program, I do want to say a deep, sincere thank you so much. Once again, special thanks to TV's Blake Walley, at TV's Blake Walley on X and thenextlevelnews.com. $ Blake W99 on Cash App if you want to send him some love. All right, so get your popcorn ready. I wonder what the Joe Biden drinking game is tonight. Do a shot every time Biden. Oh, goodness. It really is sad what they're putting him through. I don't have sympathy for Joe Biden in the least. Repeating all the hoaxes, the fine people hoax, the bleach hoax. All he does is lie. And it's racially divisive lies. He talks a lot of trash racially. If you don't know whether to vote for me or Trump, you ain't black. Dude's just gross. On every level, he's gross. But still, what Jill Biden is doing, it seems like Obama has put out the word. Stephen King is calling for Biden to get out, and Rob Reiner and Clooney. They're all calling for him to step aside. But the fact that they're marching him around like C-3PO to give these really awkward... If it wasn't so serious, it would be more hilarious. Because like Blake said, they've earned it. These idiots have earned every ounce of this mess. But to take a cognitively impaired guy and just keep trotting him out there, there's something pretty gross about that. Kind of like Ashley Biden's shower and Joe Biden. Something very gross about that. That's who y'all Democrats voted for. An alleged child molesting corpse, according to the Ashley Biden diaries. So we'll see what happens at 6:30 if he goes along with it. Maybe he's getting cold feet. We shall see, but we will communicate our thoughts afterward on X and on Facebook and all the other places. So stay tuned. We appreciate you watching today's program. Signing out on behalf of Blake Walley and everybody at the TNAM network here at the New American Media and the Agree to Disagree show. I appreciate you. I love you. And we'll talk to you again.